mention it at all.
I mean, he was an Egyptian Spaniard at one point.
Yeah.
It's Ramirez.
I took Russian in college for like a semester just to try it, and it was way too much for me to get into. But even
isn't it based on like it's not even based on Latin, right?
Oh, so yeah, it's a whole new alphabet. Like, the class I had, they were screaming at me in Russian on the third day. Like, this is not for me.
That's how you learn, man. That's how I learned. It's just jump in with immersion and then figure it out. It's all about vocabulary.
Or you can go to Russia and join the mob.
I did go to Russia. I didn't join the mob. I ended up doing TEFL. So
I've been. Well, I don't really want to talk about that. I've been to Russia.
Oh, cool. Just Moscow or
machine?
I am the machine.
So are you guys Russian agents then? Is that what's going on? You've been working for Trump in the last 4 years?
Yeah,
sounds like right the whole time.
Это правда.
See, when I went, we were buying night vision tubes from Russia as a company or whatever. The people that I worked for were, and we went and visited and whatever. And my boss decided that it would be a good idea to go to fucking Chernobyl because he wanted to do that, and I was like, I'd like my dick to not fall off, so I'm not. But yeah, we were there for a couple of days. But
dude, have you ever seen the stories about the Chernobyl wolves that are like abnormally large or whatever that live there, and like all these different animals that are like should be dead by the amount of fucking Angry just left. By the amount of fucking poisonous fucking radiation that they've received in their lives, there's no way that they should still be alive, and yet they are.
Nature finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's been a huge international study on them. It's really cool, just though, like, it was showing though the resilience to, and that's actually one of the things is like they're talking about, because it's like if you go in, because there's like this huge no-go zone, and they keep collecting DNA evidence and showing that, like how fast the wolf metabolism. They were showing like the wolf metabolism rate compared to like the standard, I guess you'd call it, their cousins, like the European wolves that they would have over in Poland or the ones in Mongolia. It's very fascinating.
All I know is that the worms eventually turn into Godzilla.
I thought the worms turned into Tremors.
Aren't there people who like aren't supposed to live in areas that are living in areas that they're not supposed to live in?
Yeah,
I'm sure. And no one really checks.
There's like one dude there. Well, actually, like a whole village or whatever around there that has.
I don't believe in no radiation. I just live out here.
Still no problem.
Well, the whole thing about Chernobyl that kind of strikes me as ironic, right, is that Russia was faced with this national crisis that was going to poison millions of people with radiation if they didn't do something about it. And what they did was round up a bunch of old people who were going to die within the next 20 years anyway, probably, to go in and put on suits and like try to do as much as they could in the little time that they had. And the old people rushed in, volunteering to sacrifice themselves so that the kids of their country didn't have to fucking die of radiation poisoning. Flash forward, COVID.
Oh man, and look at it, it's like the older hippie generation that's like just so afraid and shutting this all down, and they're not the ones who are
I honestly believe the issue with COVID is that the people that are in charge are all in their fucking 80s and they're scared as shit of COVID.
Well, this would be the first time in human
history.
Hippies,
man.
This would be the first time in human history where old people have sacrificed the young for their own sake. And I would say the baby boomers have been doing that for a long time. Because they push down the fucking can down the road on everything that they can, right? Like every time
I want to talk about this.
I think we need more of these diseases. We need to kill more of the old people.
Honda, you hit the nail on the head, man, dude. It's been something that's been bothering me, like with like just seeing it. Like you go back and just even recent history, all the way, like I would say the 80s, right? So you have the people who are in their 20s, the flower children, the boomers, right? Then the 80s, then look what happened in the 80s. They're like, they changed the immigration, like, and then they bring in everybody, deflate so they could get their cheaper goods. In the 70s, obviously it was with Nixon, but like, they really reinforced, like removing tariffs and doing trade deals with countries so they could get their goods, the birth of Walmarts, right? And then, shut down mainstream. They actually have cheap, like, manual labor, like, and solid, what used to be solid good jobs, especially if you compare the numbers to inflation. It's disgusting what they're paying people for hard labor, infrastructure building. And then also, no more machine gun manufacturing. Thank you, Reagan.
Well, I always think about like the fucking housing market, right? And how there's all of this land that they could build houses on, and like specifically where we live in Colorado, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
the amount of affordable housing available for sale is laughable. And then they bring in 10,000 people a month because we legalized weed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like you need $300,000 to get like a 2-bedroom apartment. Not quite there yet, but almost.
I was watching something here recently that was a guy in the 1930s who was born in like the early 1800s talking about his first job in like the 1860s or 70s and how he was just pushing a broom at some fucking factory or some shit. And he was getting paid, he was supposed to get paid $2 a week, and he negotiated up to $4. And then at the end of his first week, he had a $5 gold piece in his paycheck. I looked up one of those $5 gold pieces now equivalent value. That was like the equivalent of like $1,200 or some shit like that in his fucking paycheck.
Jesus.
Well, I mean, like you used to be able to, with one job, working in a factory making tin cans or whatever, right? And like your whole job is, and then you push a new sheet in and you go, and then you push a new sheet in and you go, right? That's all your fucking job is all day long.
Yeah.
And they had enough money to have a car and own a home and have 7 kids and have like food and clothing and shoes and everything for the 7 kids that they needed and send them to school and pay for other stuff and have a vacation. And you know what I mean? Like they were able to do all that stuff and the wife didn't work. And then what happened was if the husband got sick or got fired or laid off or whatever, then the wife could still go to work doing something and make like 60 or 70% as much as the husband, and like they would get by. Fast forward to today, you need a husband and wife working together full time at full capacity to afford all that stuff. And if one person gets sick, you don't go to 60, 70%, you go to 50%. You know?
This is why I like argue that like honestly, with inflation, they've essentially made modern slavery. Like,
yeah, and there's actually a TikTok going around about that, Ray and Honda. It's there's a guy, he actually just compared the numbers, and it was just like, New York, like general contractor, in the 70s got paid, like he adjusted it for inflation was like around $160,000 a year. And then and he's like, no, like now we're making $50,000 a year. And he compared the inflation. It's like, it was really disgusting, actually. It was like, I wish I could find that TikTok video and show you, but it's just,
I'm still blown away by the $1,200 value for a week's work in 1860 or whatever.
I remember talking to my dad about like his first place that they bought while he was in college. And he paid something like $400 for this place, right? And it was admittedly shitty. Like he said, it wasn't good. It wasn't nice. But it was on its own piece of land, hooked up to utilities, and it was a trailer, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the equivalent of $400 in 1972 or whatever it was is, right? I mean, I guess they could go online and figure that out, but it doesn't seem to me like there's anything like that now.
No, it's like even like with because because right now, like especially in the summer, but like I take care of my uncle's property, through property management. It's just wild property, but like there's people who are trying to homestead. Holy shit, dude! It's just like talking with those people, like coming up the road. When you're at the general store and everything, like the ranching supply store, Murdoch's over there, over kind of near it. And the amount that they're paying just a homestead, it's the equivalent of like honestly like buying one of those little McMansions that are off I-25, whether north or just south of like the metro area.
So land has gone up a shitload. Like I've been looking at land pretty much on and off for the last 10 years. And when I started looking at it, you could get land around here in Oklahoma that was like what I would want to just kind of have something to build a fucking cabin in the woods on for like about $800 to $1,000 an acre. And now it's up to where it's like $4,000 or $5,000 an acre. for anything. Like,
what were you gonna say, Taco?
I was gonna say this is mostly regional to what y'all talking about, though. Like down south here in Texas, we're seeing the market kind of rise up, but not to the extremes of what y'all are seeing.
I think if you can continue to see the amount of people moving to Texas that you've seen in the last year for the next, let's say, 4 or 5 years, you're going to have huge problems down there.
Probably.
Taco, I was going to tell you, like, I just actually got 2 emails this week of people wanting me to pay for all my expenses, everything, move down to the San Antonio, Austin region just to work to flip houses. They're flipping houses and they're developing, and because I know people who used to live in Colorado and they moved to Texas to, you know, like my name has gotten out there, what I do, because my stuff is more high-end boutique stuff, outdoor construction, outdoor environment stuff. But yeah, it's just like they're begging for workers out there, and it's like I'm kind of just seeing this is what's going through in that area, at least that part of Texas is kind of what was going on in Denver metro area in the 90s. So I do see Texas blowing up.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get there eventually. It's just not that bad yet. So if y'all want to move, come on down.
Dude, I've been thinking about it, honestly, and if I didn't have kids that were in high school who wouldn't want to move and their mom who probably wouldn't want to move and all that stuff, I would totally be in Texas probably right now.
So Texas, with all the people moving there, is going to have serious issues in the next decade, right? So move to Oklahoma where no one was going to move and you'll be fine.
I mean, I would rather move to Oklahoma than Texas because, I mean, just it's like closer to my family, which is here. But also because I do see what you're saying, you know, Ray, is everyone's moving to Texas and like kind of skipping over Oklahoma. So.
Does anyone live in that little part of Oklahoma, that little strip?
Yeah, there's a town there called Guyman.
That's like the closest part to Colorado, right? Like that actually touches Colorado.
It's basically all desert out there, like desert.
Well, yeah,
desert.
I mean, yeah, it's probably more like New Mexico than Colorado, to be honest.
It's like Amarillo, Texas. It's desert.
So tumbleweeds
and sand dunes and shit and cactus.
Okay, so it's like Durango and stuff. Yeah, Pueblo, I should say. Sorry, Pueblo.
Dude, Pueblo, I hate Pueblo. I've been there one time, and I'm like, nah. And every other time, we've just drove through. Like, there's no point.
It's more similar to Pueblo than it is the rest of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
If y'all have 60 grand right now, we like that's just all. This is what we're gonna do, right? We're all of us gonna come up with 60 grand. We're gonna get 5 acres for that 60, and then just build on it.
No, we already got this plan. We found how many acres was it in Sang territory for 35 grand on it?
Yeah, we got to look in West Virginia. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, see, that's all wooded and stuff. That's more my speed.
Yeah. We need to hunt ginseng. Ginseng's worth like $1,000 a pound.
Yeah, you get 5 weeks a year. You get to hunt for sang.
Yeah, Honda and I are gonna do a shitload of something and go hunt sing all night.
Wait, is it like those those people in the PNW that hunt for mushrooms? Like there's certain specific mushrooms that are hyper valuable.
Well, like the morel mushrooms are worth a lot of money.
Yeah, it's like because there's like all these like hippie chicks like doing vlogging of them like searching for these like mushrooms that are worth like hundreds of dollars for each mushroom they find.
I don't know where you go to sell those mushrooms, but yes, you can do that.
What mushrooms? Are we talking about truffles?
Truffles, morels.
You just sell them direct to restaurants.
There's a ton of stuff you can find in the woods that a high-end restaurant would pay for.
Yep. You just go over there. Hey, I got these truffles.
That's why I have a metal detector. No, the stuff I find in the woods. So, I mean, the cool thing about Colorado, if you find quartz, you know, gold is kind of nearby. And you can find like actually abandoned gold mines that still have gold on the walls, or like even you can still like pan for gold here. Actually, in Clear Creek,
I've been thinking about that myself because it is possible to drive to places where it is legal to pan for gold, where you can find gold, but it's more lucrative to find gold nuggets if you know how. And I've been watching videos on how to do that. Mm-hmm. And basically, like these dudes go in there with metal detectors and they try to find like cracks in the rock. like the fucking by the rivers and dig down in the crack when they find something, and they'll fucking find like flakes of gold and like big ass chunks.
Oh yeah, that's actually why I have a metal detector though. It's because we, like especially if you go over to like Golden Gate Canyon, in that region over by Clear Creek, you can find quite a bit. I found some small little like quartz, because you find a quartz rock and has gold like veins in it. It wasn't very valuable, but it was just pretty cool to find gold pretty easily though.
Well, that's the kind of shit that you have to process to get the gold out of, right? The quartz that has a little bit of gold in it.
Yep.
And that's basically where they take it and they put it in a rock crusher and they get it down to like this sand almost fucking consistency. And then they soak it with cyanide, believe it or not. And cyanide fucking dissolves gold. And then they like pump it full of cyanide and like water or whatever. And then they suck all the water out with the cyanide in it. And they put it through some chemical process which like makes the gold fall out of it. And they melt that down and something like that. I don't know exactly. Don't quote me, but
it's a pretty intense process to get it, especially when it's like veins inside of like quartz rock. But I mean, so many times I've gone hiking. I'm interested in paleontology primarily. This is how I got into it, and then I keep finding like these quartz rocks. I was like, man, that's a lot of like I thought it was pyrite in there, and then I like take it home, and then I'm like, oh wait, it's actually gold.
My favorite T-shirt used to say, "I am an archaeologist. No, I do not dig up dinosaurs."
This is very true. Unless the dinosaurs started actually, if we suddenly discovered they made things, then you have to change the shirt.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see, because there's got to be like prehistoric things around that have just been covered by forest or desert or whatever that people are finding now, because we have satellite imagery that lets you see fucking structures from the sky or underwater or whatever it is. Like the discovery is forthcoming in the next, little bit. I think in the realm of prehistoric knowledge is going to be huge.
LiDAR is finding a shitload of stuff in the Amazon. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Well, everything off the coast, right? Like when that like first 100 feet or so of water off the coast, that could contain cities, that could contain fucking villages and artifacts and fucking structures.
The thing that I think is cool about the Amazon is what they're finding in the Amazon looks like the entire Amazon jungle is actually an ancient garden that is overgrown. And that's why there are so many like weird species and medicinal plants and shit in the Amazon.
Was this Garden of Eden?
I don't know, but like it would be a garden the size of Brazil, apparently.
Oh, Corey, I'm sorry, bro.
Corey Long drops in $5. Said, "Hey Honda, I joined the chat, but I'm mentally drained. Thank you for the invite. My mother passed away early this morning, and I've been dealing with so much shit, dude. That is fucking terrible news, and I'm sorry to hear that. Here's to your mother. May she rest in peace, and may your family get some solace in this time of insane sorrow. And I'm just sorry, man. Cheers.
Pour some vodka on the ground and drink some.
That's rough, man. I mean, shit, my mom died when I was 15, and I still think about it all the time,
Yeah. I mean, it's just you think they're always going to be there, It's, you're like cognizantly aware, but you just have that connection of like, oh, my parents will always be there no matter how old you are. You're like, they always got my back, or they're always there for me. Yeah.
Chili Pete says, one of my friends here just passed of COVID-2 a couple weeks ago. Shit sucks, man. Sorry, guys. I mean, not every day is going to be a good one, but can't rain all the time.
Nice. That's painful.
Fucking Matt's tattoo.
Hey Ray, did you see the tattoo that Honda should get for his biker club?
Is it a tattoo of his penis on his penis, but bigger?
Nah. It's a little bit more safe for work than that.
Phil 2021 says, Honda, I've watched every chat you and NEA have done. 50 plus hours a weeks at work in COVID isolation at work. You've just been watching the crap out of our chats.
Wow. I'm sorry.
Hopefully it's entertaining, man. I mean, hopefully sometimes we say some things that are mildly entertaining here and there.
We have laughed to the point that we cried several times on this show.
Yeah, it has happened. Hopefully we can do some of that tonight, man. I feel like some people out there need it right now, you know?
Absolutely.
I don't even remember what that last one was. It was a couple of weeks ago. Oh, it was when fucking Matt was fucking with your audio.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then I was crying laughing when you were like, quit fucking with me because you thought I was the one fucking with you. I was the only one trying to tell you that you were getting fucked with.
Oh my god.
It's like I'm the only one on your side, goddamn.
I was your ally. I was a friend. You turned your back on me. Oh my god. No, that was amazing. When Ted K was messing with the stream with butts. Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Where is
start
NEA tonight?
Avenge me.
Avenge me.
Avenge me, boys.
Dad!
Oh god. You see, you do just the part up to the avenge me, and then you just fade to the Red Dawn music.
What is the Red Dawn music?
The title sequence.
I can't remember how it goes.
It's like the synthy kind of.
Yeah, it's like it's like the A-Team music, but it's different.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. I was totally thinking the A-Team theme. So it's like the A-Team. I would say it's like the A-Team theme meets the Top Gun like opening.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's very like militaristic 1980s.
Exactly. It's like the mashup of the Top Gun opening music with I should say the intro before it gets like the crazy guitar solo with
It also reminds me of Escape from New York. The intro music.
Yes.
But like the Escape from New York music is way more synth than the stuff in Red Dawn.
Well, that was because John Carpenter.
Okay, here it is. Yeah, it totally doesn't sound like A-Team.
Wolverine. You see why we say the A-Team though? Like it has vibes from it for sure.
I'm just waiting for Face and Mr. T to jump out.
I love when a plan comes together.
Man.
And we're demonetized.
Oh, seriously?
No, I don't know. I don't think this chat's ever monetized to begin with, to be honest, besides the super chats that we get. So speaking of that, and thank you, Daniel dropped in $2 and said, any word on NEA? Unfortunately not.
I spoke to him a couple of days ago, and he said he was not in jail. So we know that much.
I mean, I talked to him less than a week ago was the last time I talked to him, but I have not talked to him in days, and just hope everything's okay. Don't know what's going on.
I mean, it's been a lot of fucker with a lot of gun tubers lately. Does anybody want to talk about that, or should we pass it?
That's what I said. Like when he disappeared off the face of the planet, like there's other shit going on in other circles that has nothing to do with him, but it's weird that it's happening at the same time.
Yeah. I'm like, does he know Matt from CRS Firearms, or like?
No, he doesn't know him at all.
Okay, that's like kind of.
I ironically just started watching that guy not too long ago because he just makes interesting content.
That's same here. I started watching him about a year ago because I was interested in something he was talking about.
Well, because he talks about stuff from the perspective of a gun store owner, and these are the guns that I'm seeing coming in used, and this is the price that they're going for now, and hey, here's what I think's going on with the ammo shortage or whatever he's talking about. Like, I don't know, he just has interesting subjects.
And here's this crazy ass shit about fucking binary triggers or full auto guns and getting raided, and
Yeah.
Well, he got raided because he had one of those cards, right? What's it called?
I don't
Auto
even know
key
why
card.
I don't know why he got raided exactly, but it had something to do with the auto key card.
Well,
So my understanding is that it was because he was affiliated with the company and had used or been given out a couple of those cards as part of a promotional deal that he was part of by being signed on with like it's bullshit is what it is when it comes down to it. But supposedly he got in trouble because basically he was giving out machine guns, and they're considering that fucking piece of metal to be a fucking machine gun, which is bullshit. I mean, that's the fucking government coming in and saying, do what we want or we're gonna fuck you, and there's nothing you can do about it, even though we're like expressly written into our law is the limitations of government, and one of those limitations on us is our infringement on your Second Amendment right, which we are directly doing right now and ignoring.
If you're unfamiliar with the auto key card is a drawing of a machine.
Yeah, which falls under the First Amendment. What I was going to say is it's no different than showing like the chemistry of meth or whatever. Like if you drew out like the molecular structure of methamphetamine or whatever other controlled illegal substance. It's literally kind of falls in the same category. What you do with that information is up to you. That's kind of like what the whole basis of it is.
I mean,
but this is
some people just hang it on their wall. Not everybody goes and buys a bunch of Sudafed like you do.
Yeah, see, yeah. So it's like kind of one of those things. So where it's like it's a violation not of just the Second Amendment, like encroachment of the Second Amendment, but the scary thing is that how it's attacking the First Amendment, and no one's talking about that.
Well, the thing is about the card itself, like it has the outline drawing of a lightning link, and if you were to like cut into it, because it's already etched in, so you could probably fit a knife in there or a file and file it away slowly or cut it out or whatever.
Man,
and bend it into place,
really
and make it into a lightning link and put it into a gun. So they're concerned about someone doing all of that and then going out and using that gun to kill people and then going after people and destroying their lives is preventing that from happening. It's like bull fucking shit.
I am really talented with a file and a Dremel tool, and I would find it extremely challenging to cut one of those out.
Right, and the thing is, so it's all and to be honest, and actually I think CRS Firearms covered this, because I've been following him like kind of when I found Honda back in 2020. It's like he even showed like you could use a coat hanger, right? And this is an old, FUD thing, but even like bump firing, like when it's just this let's be honest, it's this whole chevron difference to the ATF and just allowing them carte blanche to do whatever they want, enforce whatever they want. It's just beyond a massive overreach. And like the problem is the mainstream media that educates, I guess you would say, the sheep, the dull masses who aren't even involved in, more of it as a passing notice. They're totally, this is like off to the side. They don't even know about it. They don't care about it. They don't understand the ramifications of it. Meanwhile, the ATF doesn't do a damn thing about the 80 plus guns that were stolen from trains in LA, which has gun control. It's all this is like, sorry, it's just bullshit.
Well, I mean, the thing is that government is not supposed to be doing any of this. It is well outside the bounds of the limits of government, which are well defined. And rather than being like, okay, you got us, we're going to stop. It's written right here, clear as day. I don't know why we didn't see it before, but you're right. Mm-hmm. They're doubling down and they're finding other little ways, and they're trying to do death by 1,000 cuts to the gun community. And it's coming after not only your right to buy this gun or that gun, but how much ammo costs and regulations on gun sellers and fucking sucks if you end up defending yourself because you're going to have to go to court, and we're going to put the full force of the government behind trying to put you behind bars for the rest of your life because you defended your life. And if you don't have ironclad evidence of everything, then fuck you. Even if it's obvious, we can find a loophole and put you in jail. Like, that's the whole point of the government fucking working against us right now, is they're ignoring their duty and their fucking sworn constitutional fucking, like, what would you call it? Their oath to the Constitution.
Yeah, it's a violation. It's a breach of contract. The Bill of Rights is obviously, as most people who are watching this, yeah, it's a social contract. And they keep encroaching and violating the contract. At what point do they get penalized for the because we get penalized when we violate that contract. We go to jail. Like, it's like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. go to jail. But then they might have like a Senate hearing where a partisan senator will wag his finger or her finger at whoever, and then nothing happens from that.
Wasn't it because of lightning links that they raided Waco? David Koresh?
No, they raided Waco because of 50 cals.
I thought it was for pre-86 machine guns that they weren't transferring correctly. Sorry.
There was a lot of shit going on, but they were down there initially because they were reported to have some sort of illegal 50 cal thing, and then on top of that, they were curious about all these illegal machine gun charges and shit.
Yeah, because
it's complicated. Like I knew the guy that used to sell David Koresh's guns, and basically they didn't have any machine guns from what he was telling me. And like this is like the pseudo gangster that was selling guns to the cult. Like he wasn't bullshitting. If he was selling machine guns, he would have told me.
Yeah, and the thing that I like, because there's so much like myth and lore around things, but like, my dad was telling me back in the day, like, pre assault weapons ban or whatever, like there'd be guys at gun shows. When I was a little kid, I didn't know what was going on when I go with him, but like, they would like, you could take your AR-15 lower, your old Bushmaster, and get the third hole drilled and put a lightning link in back in the 90s.
I think the thing that they thought they had was they thought they had like an M2 machine gun because they were buying 50 cal ammo. But as it turned out, they had like a Barrett or something like that.
Okay.
So as a result of that, they burned how many people to death and shot how many people and did all this stuff?
They burned a bunch of children alive and then took a picture standing on the dead bodies with an M14 before they got, elected head of the ATF or whatever the fuck that dude is.
It was 200 people, approximately.
Sir, excuse me, that was 200 terrorists that they get rid of, okay?
I didn't know a 3-year-old could be a terrorist, but okay.
Including the old people and the children, yes.
I'm all for taking pictures on shit you killed or whatever. I would never take pictures on dead 3-year-olds. That's just not
they did in Vietnam, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but Agent Orange and LSD
too, though.
Oh yeah. So like, okay, yeah, we're talking about doom and gloom, ATF, and that's it sucks that they do the shit that they do, but there ain't shit we can do about it right now. If we actually get out of our echo chambers and educate the people somehow, some way, that would be fucking amazing, right? Then that way we could have them on our side.
Here's my thing. It's like Fox News isn't even covering what's happened to the rare breed and WOT trigger thing. They're not even they have not even once mentioned this as a violation. Like you haven't seen Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity or anybody like that, let alone like the local news or CNN or MSNBC, unless they would villainize it. That's the thing is, again, most of these people, they're out busy, they're working. They're taking their kids to
none of these people are listening to Fox News, MSN, or CNN, right?
Yeah.
On either side. They are no longer listening to those sites. They might get their information from people who are quoting these things, but they're no longer listening to them.
Do you know who is listening to them and believing them and driving the narrative and funding this whole thing?
Who?
Still, again, the boomers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they're the only ones watching CNN. They're mainly the ones watching Fox News. They're the ones donating to the things and believing the stuff and supporting mandates and fucking buybacks and bullshit, dude.
It's not just the boomers. It's the boomers that have managed to live this long. So it's all of the rich, old, wealthy fucks.
Right.
That were probably liberal and took care of themselves at some point in their 30s and 40s. That live to be in their 70s and 80s now, and like that breeds a certain type of shithead, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean the boomers were the yuppies, and that's where they decide, oh man, I can't be a flower child like I was in the 60s or 70s. Now I gotta get smart and invest in real estate.
They were like a wealth wave all the way to their death, right?
Yep.
They basically didn't have to work very hard to begin with to gain a lot of fucking resources because that's just the way things were in like the late 50s, early 60s until maybe the 70s when things started to get a little difficult. But if they were halfway together, they already had a house and this and that by that point. And like a education and a good job and everything else, and fucking carried them through, and now they're in retirement, and like they just want housing prices to go up, and like they have like their little fucking things that they care about, and they don't really care about anything else. It's like fucking one issue voters, but when it comes to their own fucking pocketbook, and fuck anything else that gets in the way.
Right, and the thing is, so they're the ones who are like, I mean, to be honest, like I think there was a video I watched. It was really interesting. It was it's talking about more about culture and like what like art and representation. How Easy Rider, like if you actually look at the movie Easy Rider, how it explains kind of what boomer culture is, and it's about these guys selling out their own country, selling out the Mexicans at the beginning of the movie. And that the whole thing is just all about self-service, and it's just like selling out what, just basically selling out, and that's ultimately what like, our grandparents, depending on your age or whatever, but like the boomer generation did.
Woodstock fucking explains it all to me, right?
Oh,
how is it that these hundreds of thousands of people were able to just like drop whatever they were doing, which was apparently not very much,
drugs,
for a trip across the country while doing all the drugs that they could get their hands on for basically free, to go to a concert in the middle of a fucking field where they just like, managed to feed everybody, or I guess not everybody, but like things just worked out, and then they were able to all go home and things were cool. Like flash forward to the new, like remember the new one, the what year was that?
Woodstock 99.
Woodstock 99. Oh my god, that was a fucking shit, dude. Like everybody had to be charged, and like, oh god.
Woodstock 69 was not all it's cracked up to be. Like they had a lot of issues with like disease and rape and bad drugs and people fucking dying and shit like that. Like they had issues with mud and sanitation on top of everything else too.
Oh yeah, no, but they still romanticized it though. It was like a generational touchstone. It's like the reality doesn't matter to that generation. Like the people who were there, like, if everyone who claimed that they were at Woodstock was there, it would have been like 10 times larger than what it was, right?
But it was the problem with the boomers is that most of them haven't ever had the bite of a reality sandwich. That is being in the mud with a bunch of hippies at fucking Woodstock. They just tell everyone that they did that.
Yeah, if you remember the 60s, you weren't really there type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, though, it's just like this, like the cultural thing that carried over into the 70s, and like it wasn't until the 80s that they had a first dose of a little chink in their armor of a reality check post Jimmy Carter. I mean, when the economy started to go down, and like, if it wasn't for like honestly like technology advancing and computers, and if people who had the foresight to invest in that, or real estate, in certain areas, there wouldn't have been they wouldn't have recovered.
Well, and every time there's been a downturn, they've just sold the solution down the road by printing more money and being okay with it, and expanding the power of the government to deal with the solution, and getting rid of the gold standard, and putting more power in the hands of the Federal Reserve Bank, and like all of the different things that they've done over the years to fucking loosen the hold of people's freedom and give it to the government.
Not to mention bailing out companies, man. They've been doing that for years now too, and that's gonna like come back to bite us.
Oh, right. Too big to fail is like the most obnoxious thing I ever heard in my fucking life. Yeah, no, sorry. I'm actually really passionate about this. This is like the thing is like industry changes, right? Like the Wright brothers invented their invention led to like a better, faster, safer form of like travel, right? Which is the airplane. Nobody takes trains across America anymore, unless you're just like on a weird, hipster trip. But the thing is, though, it's just like, because the airline industry took off, for traveling because it's the most effective. Obviously, trains kind of, went just for purely freight, whatever was the more economical option. But instead, they keep bailing out train companies. Like, oh, we need, Amtrak. We need Amtrak. Do we really need to invest that much in Amtrak? No.
Honestly, yeah, we do need Amtrak because you can travel armed on trains.
I didn't know you could travel armed.
That and just the amount of... Just think about what a train could carry compared to what a plane can carry.
I was talking about people, just people, not cargo. Sorry, I should have clarified. But like, because Union Pacific is like, I separate the two.
Trains for travel mainly because it's a nice, slow, like you just get on and you ride. You can watch it on your phone or whatever. And like I said, it's easy to take guns with you compared to any other way to travel.
And if you hit something, you're not going to die.
Well, my experiences with trains is 90%, like just riding on trains has only been in Europe. So I've never had to, because I live in like, much like you, Ray, like I live in like, Western state. So it's like the cities are kind of far away, it's whether 3 hours to get to, to the East Coast or 3 days. There's a huge difference.
Well, like the trains I've ridden go from like Kansas to Chicago and Chicago up to like Montana and shit like that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, like, oh, I have to be, for example, like if I got to go to Tampa, I could leave either today or 3 days ahead of, when I have to go, so it's like that's what I'm talking about for as far as the speed and immediacy of travel.
There actually isn't even a fucking train station in Oklahoma for Amtrak. You have to go to Kansas to get on the fucking train.
Why not Denver? Union Station has an Amtrak there.
Yeah.
I mean,
didn't they fucking have problems with Union Station because of all of the homeless people and crime going outside of it?
Yes.
They have to like fucking close it down or something. I remember reading something about it. I don't remember what it was.
So Union Station though is also where the light rail is and stuff, like where it's like all, that's our hub, right? That's what built.
Dude, there's a cool bar inside of there actually that I've been to that used to be nice. You used to be able to just walk in and like get a beer off of the street inside of this cool ass like 18th century fucking or 19th century fucking built train station in the middle of Denver. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. I was gonna say, like, I used to. It's gonna sound kind of fruity, but actually, I think I know the bar you're talking about because I used to go to this men's book club across the street at Treos and Anteca. This like jazz club cigar bar place, and then we used to go to that bar as well when we used to bar hop after book club. But yeah, it's
I mean, why don't you want to sound fruity?
I mean, some people, I don't want you to make fun of me, Ray, okay?
It's so easy.
I know it is. But anyway, though, what I was going to say is, like, what they've done is actually they closed down, because it used to be open 24/7, because it's a train station, and trains come in all the time. They closed down certain access points, so people, even if they come in at 3 a.m., they can exit, but you can't enter. Because the homeless people, because when it get cold, they would start camping out in the lobby and, start harassing people who are there to travel.
I think it's interesting that we have homeless people and homes sitting empty in this country that are bought by billionaires.
Can I actually add to that, Ray? Like,
no,
weird thing.
Nope.
Okay, sorry. Honda, though, you can attest to this. You know the old Denver Post building over there off I-25, I-70? That giant building that used to be where they used to print out the Denver Post.
Probably, I can't remember right now though.
So it's like this huge building just sitting there empty. We have these homeless villages all over throughout the urban center, but yet they have this giant building where people could go into. But like the thing is, like again, it had me thinking though, like at work this week. We have all these office buildings, and office real estate is going down. It's going down fast. Like people are like, because they got used to working from home, they're not returning to work. In certain industries where it's just tech based,
New York is empty right now in the offices.
Yeah, so you have all these empty offices, but they're only regulated for
office use or whatever. Not for housing.
Yeah, it's like all these businesses could be converted easily, and this would like drastically drop down the price of like housing. It'd be pretty easy to do.
Here was my $1 million idea. Set up like a public storage building where everyone's got like a 10-foot by 10-foot pod that they can put a bed and a fucking dresser, and it's got a sink or whatever in it for brushing your teeth. But then there's like a community bathroom and the main thing. But that's all they have is like a little sink and a fucking bed in your room, and you pay like $300 or $200 a month for your pod, And now like you can stack the pods on top of each other and put like 1,000 people in one little spot. And even if you're charging them $200 a piece times 1,000, like $1 million idea, dude. You just got to get the zoning for it.
Yeah, and that's the problem again with like the zoning issue. Because I look at places like the Denver Post building that's been empty for like 20 years since newspapers are useless.
Is it the one off of what am I thinking of? Off of Lincoln Broadway, I-25?
No.
Old building with the windows that used to be smashed out?
It's like the giant one off of I-70 and I-25.
Okay, never mind. Yeah.
That's
further north.
Man, you guys talking about Denver just makes everyone go to sleep.
Sorry. Talk about Oklahoma. There you go.
I will be in Oklahoma here in a little bit, though. I get to check out a new city. I've never been in Tulsa before.
It'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I really am.
Is the show happening soon?
I hope Matt can make it up.
Is that a big old show?
Yeah, the Wanamaker show.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, we've been live for like 45 minutes, and then I realized what you were saying.
Jesus.
What? Sorry, I'm too drunk to taste this chicken.
Oh, but no, I was gonna ask though. So what's going on in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
It's the nation's largest gun show that happens.
Ooh.
Is it annually or like biannually?
I think it happens 3 times a year.
Every April and November.
Yep.
And I guess people have met up there before and gone to the gun show, and it's something to do and cool to hang out and all that stuff. And Matt said that he was going to do it, so I requested time off of work, and I'm going to fucking be there this year.
Well, I'm a subcontractor, so I can make my own schedule. I think I might take a little drive down there in my truck.
Dude, hotels in Tulsa aren't very expensive. It's a 10-hour drive from Denver from my place to there is less than 10 hours. Like,
It's like $50-$60 a night here.
Dude. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Send me the dates so I just know when to go.
You can look it up real quick here.
Yeah.
How do you spell Wanamaker?
Good luck. That's right there. You
I
missed
spell
it.
it wrong every fucking time, so don't ask me.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
That first one.
No. Okay, wait. April 2nd and 3rd.
Okay, April 2nd and 3rd. All right.
I wonder how big is it going to be this year, right? Because it's the first year before after COVID or whatever it may be.
It's the same size. I went to it during COVID.
Oh, nice.
There might be like extra stuff there too, wouldn't you think? Because like some of those vendors don't really sell stuff to the public unless it's at the gun show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some.
And then Tanner's gotten a hit, for example. So
the cool part
Tanner's is a fucking joke, really.
I know.
The building that they put that in is the old oil exposition building, so it was made to display oil drilling equipment. It's 11 acres covered indoors.
Oh man, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, I'm sold. I'll drive down. I'm driving down.
Take water. Be hydrated. Because that's a lot of fucking walking.
It's a lot of guns in one.
You're talking to a guy. You're talking to a section hiker, man. I live by water. Man, I'm all
I'm not worried about walking around. Like I walk for a living.
So dude, I never leave without like a mana or a camelback.
I've gotten like super out of shape in like the last few months.
Mine has been the last 2 years, man. I went from a size 30 waist to a size 36.
Jesus.
I had lost a whole bunch of weight. Like I lost 260 pounds in about a year. And
Nice, good job.
I've gained like 30 or 40 of that back.
And it's all muscle.
No, it's not.
Dude, since I've been working out,
tits, to be honest.
Oh,
since I've been working out, which has been about 2 months now, fucking, I lost 10 pounds initially, and then I gained 9 back, and then I lost like 10 pounds, and then I gained like 8 back, and then I lost like 5 pounds, and I gained like 6 back. And that's where I'm at now. Like I've lost like 2 pounds, dude.
Do you measure yourself at a specific time?
Like you can tell. Like I've been working out. Like the weight is transferring from my stomach to other places.
Do you weigh yourself at a specific time or just whenever?
After I poop.
Every time.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Because otherwise, like you're full of poop and you don't know how much. But if you get out everything you can, then there's minimal poop in you to fucking throw that weight off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just like wrestling. Yeah, no, they made us do that with wrestling, you know. Yeah. Drink a bunch of like caffeine, like diet soda and a bunch of X-Lax. Yeah. They did that with wrestling in high school. Before we got weighed. But yeah,
we didn't do the X-Lax, dude. They used to just put us in a fucking so like you'd have to work out in the room and they would put an ice bag over the fucking thermostat so the school's fucking thermostat thought it was like 30 degrees in the room and would just pump heat in. And then they would shut the doors and fucking seal them off with tape so that the hot air couldn't get out.
Sauna.
And then if you had to lose weight, you would have to do the regular workout with everybody else, but you'd be wearing sweatpants from head to toe. So you're insulated. So you're just pouring fucking sweat as much as you fucking can. And like you weigh yourself I remember one practice I lost like 16 pounds.
Ooh, dude.
That's not good.
Dude,
No.
they didn't do that to us. What they did is they did the sauna thing where they actually put us in a closed sauna. I remember sweating out like it was like I was in there for like 2 hours, and then I did hot tub, workout, sauna, and then they gave me while I was in the sauna, they gave me a bunch of like diuretics, diet soda, and and then they gave me a bunch of X-Lax, just to inspire the pooping. So, and then right after that, I crapped for probably about 2 hours straight. And then dropped like about 14, 15 pounds. Yeah, just in water weight.
Yeah, no, I'm good. This is why I was a lineman.
This is wrestling. Wrestling is like totally weight dependent. It's different. Yeah.
Yep. No, this is why I only play football. I'm like, fuck that.
Were you offensive line?
Yes.
Of course you were.
Wait, were you a center?
I was D-line, motherfucker.
I was a guard.
Oh, nice.
I ate guards for breakfast. I would take on a guard and a tackle. That'd be two of you guys.
Even at my lightest, I never would have been in any fucking weight class for wrestling or boxing.
Heavyweight's 275.
Yeah, like I was 6'5" and 350 pounds in like 8th grade.
Jeez.
Yeah,
there was. So I only wrestled freshman year. That was the only year that I did it. And there was this guy, Kyle Deviney. Oh shit! I just doxed him. Kyle Donovan is his real name. So Kyle Donovan was the same age as my brother, 2 grades above me. Yeah. And my freshman year, he was the varsity heavyweight champion, 5A state champion of Colorado for wrestling. Right?
Nice.
And this guy did not like my brother, and I was on the wrestling team my freshman year. And I wasn't small. Like I was like 190 pounds freshman year of high school. Like I was a pretty big kid,
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like the biggest of the freshman kids. So when you're the biggest of your age group, they put you with the big guys when you're doing the stuff. Mm-hmm. And so Kyle Deviney, 275, really he was like 290 pounds, but he would drop weight to do the weigh-in to get to 275 every time he had to cut weight. It was always funny to see him fucking sweat and cry like a bitch. But we had to do this drill where you jump on my back and then I run up the stairs and down the stairs, and then I jump on your back and you run up the stairs and down the stairs. Right?
Oh, that's brutal. I just imagine just doing it once. My thighs are already killing me.
So yeah, and he would like laugh, and he was a little fucking hate this guy. Anyway, one time after practice had ended, I took off my shirt because I was hot and sweaty, and I was walking towards the locker room. And he came up behind me and open palm slapped me in the back as hard as he could, right? Fucking bare back, fucking open palm. You know what I'm like? It fucking hurts.
Yeah.
Like brings a tear to your eye, even if you're not crying, which it did. And then they made fun of me for crying, even though I wasn't. But fuck that guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I fucking swallowed my pride, got my shit, and I left. And I went home, did my homework, went to sleep, went to school the next day. I was at my locker. And he comes up behind me again and picks my shirt up, and there's a giant red handprint on my back from where he'd slapped me on the back the day before, and he like just starts fucking pointing and laughing and like drawing attention to this on my back.
Oh, dude, what a dick!
And something inside of me just snapped.
Yeah,
I turned around
red.
and I hit him in the jaw as hard as I could, just one shot, just boom, right, and knocked him out. I knocked out the heavyweight varsity wrestling champion of Colorado with one punch as a freshman in high school. And
dude,
everybody,
you're my hero.
Well, for the rest of the year, though, people were like, "Oh, that's that Honda kid who knocked out Deviney," right? And then I'd have to fight the motherfucker, like, or try to not fight him or what? Oh god, the whole year, dude.
Dude, I mean, that actually relates to like kind of like a weird life story that ended up impacting my life. Why I couldn't get into the military. When I was 15, I'm just gonna use his last name. Well, no, his first name. So this Paulo guy was just he was in the wrestling team, but I barely sparred against him and stuff like that.
Last name Creed.
Yes.
No, it ends in a Z.
Creeds.
Yes. I could change it to something else, like Paulo Gomez.
Oh no, why's it got to be fucking Mexican?
Because that's what it was. I'm in Colorado.
What the
We're
fuck, man?
3-1. That's what it is.
We're more Mexican than you think we are, Taco.
Yeah, it's like
Even though we say tamales.
Yeah, no, dude, come on. We're outnumbered 3-1. What are you talking about? So anyway, no, he was a dick though. I by the way, just Taco, I'll let you know, my first real girlfriend, her last name was Barajas. So
this sounds like I'm not racist. I had a girlfriend who was Mexican.
Yeah, see?
I'm not racist. I dated a taco once.
Exactly. My cousin is Mexican. What? No, I can't be racist.
Oh, that reminds me of that joke. It's like, when does someone stop being a Mexican and become Spanish? As soon as they become part of the family. Anyway, so Apollo, I mean, this guy, like, what he would do like every time we'd spar though, he'd do the credit card swipe, because we wouldn't wrestle in our leotards. Like for sparring, we just t-shirt and shorts. You know the credit card swipe, right, Honda? I don't know if you had that. It's like that. It's where they take your hand and you make it fully flat and you slide it in between someone's butt cheeks.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, so this guy kept doing it to me, right? And then he was bigger than me, and he'd just do it all like. Then it went from wrestling practice to like down the hall, right? And I just couldn't take it anymore. So he was bigger than me though, but it was good to learn from someone who was bigger, right? So I just snapped one day because this guy, he just shoved me in the locker, credit card swiped me. And then he starts walking away laughing. I take my backpack, slam it into his head, would fill his book, slammed it into his head, and I started punching him. Like, I just like kind of that thing where everything goes white and fuzzy. So I started punching him in the chest, and then I leaned back to go for the face, and then he slumped down, and I hit the locker, and the steel lockers, and I cracked my first metacarpal, like just shattered it, like beyond shattered it. So I had like a bunch of pins and stuff and surgery. So actually, that's why I couldn't go into the military, because it wouldn't take me because of my hand doesn't work right. But yeah,
they wouldn't take me on account of my narrow urethra.
Couldn't evacuate my bladder efficiently.
I would need some waivers. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so would I, to be honest.
Yeah,
I got flat feet. Like, that's one thing that they like. That's an automatic fail because of the amount of marching and stuff that they make you do. If you have flat feet, it causes all kinds of problems. And then I'm a waiter my whole fucking life. Weird. Yeah,
for me it was just because this is actually how I got into customizing guns. Is because my index finger, my first metacarpal. Like I have a hard time pulling a trigger without shifting my hand, which shifts my aim. It even translates on rifles and stuff. So I always had to get really light triggers. And so that's actually, but anyway, I didn't pass my medical like when I took after I took my ASVAB.
So what was it? I was going to say something. I don't remember, and hopefully we can
talk about it's about me being racist, even though like I think Mexican girls are hot.
Yes, you're racist.
Oh yeah, well I am. I think everyone is though.
I'm not racist. I'm just prejudiced.
It's okay. Is it alright if I like hate everybody?
Yet, Taco?
I like to fuck all the races.
I do too. I can't no more, but I do. I would like to.
Ooh. God, I love that thing, man. So Honda, I'm waiting on my fax and barrel.
MP5, dude. It's basically an MP5.
Oh God, I
want a little submachine gun. The only regret that I have with this thing is that it's not in 45, because then it would be a Tommy gun, basically.
Oh.
In effect.
Yeah, 40. So I've actually been having a question. So I've been thinking about this because spring hiking season is coming up. So a little insight into me. I did a little weird thing and I signed up for a Sasquatch hunt.
Yankee would love you.
I went.
Have you talked to the Yankee Marshal about your Sasquatch hunt?
No, I haven't. No.
I don't about it. He'll probably want some money.
No, the only thing.
I don't hunt Sasquatch. He hunts me.
Well, you don't actually hunt Sasquatch. You're just trying to find evidence of them. If you kill a Sasquatch, like fuck you. That's Yankee's point of view.
Well, no, but you do need a corpse for science, though. You do need a specimen to proof, because there's a difference between evidence and proof, and you need a corpse for proof. Anyway, he doesn't understand. It's specimen collecting. It's like, you know.
So you're trying to actually hunt and kill a Sasquatch is the point.
No. well, I mean, I don't know. For me,
okay. So if you hunted and killed a Sasquatch, they would be like, "Well, that's not what we were trying to do, but good job."
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at on it. So it's a week-long thing. It's taking place in June. It's over near Bailey, where most of near the springs, like kind of where most of the sightings happen.
Be better spent hunting sang with us.
Porpoise, you know, like why not both? You know, yeah.
Do they have Sasquatch in the fucking Appalachians?
I think we should hunt Sasquatch and sang at the same time, Honda.
Oh God!
What if we found Squatch eating some sang at the same time, right? Like he has a
Discovery Channel following us around, recording us as we do our meth and fucking look for Sasquatch and sang the words.
Dude, we should, if we do this for real, we should record this shit. And
dude, GoPros
for Bigfoot while we look for ginseng.
Dude, I hike with a GoPro. Like, I mean, if I, yeah. So.
I think we could like Survivor Man film this ourselves enough to where we could at least put it on YouTube and make it hilarious.
It'll be like It'll be like Blair Witch Project though when it and like the camera shaking all around.
We'll need like a monkey costume or something too for somebody because like we'll have to have a Bigfoot.
Dude, that's how you get shot in the woods because people are trying to hunt and kill fucking Sasquatch. I found them. We got proof. Oh no! I killed Bobby.
He had a whole bag of ginseng. The Sasquatch are attracted to the sang.
His name was Robert Paulson.
His name was Robert Paulson.
I shot him right in the zipper. That's where the YouTube videos told me to.
I shot him 18 times with buckshot. I don't know why he died.
I don't know. He wasn't wearing orange. I thought it was Dogman. I
thought it was a deer. That's why I shot it 97 times.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's self-defense. That's why he has a gun in his hand.
He had an erection.
You gotta You gotta sprinkle crack on him.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Hey man, the people you're gonna run into hunting sang, you don't need to sprinkle crack on them. They already have crack on them.
That's why you bring your 38 special to ditch on the body. And be
exactly.
Like,
yeah. Just buy the cheapest horse you can or something like that. Just look, they're coming at me. You know, that's what happened.
By the way, FBI agents were joking about killing Sasquatch and planting a gun on his body and sprinkling crack on him. I don't think that's actually real. So,
I like the fact that we feel the need to say that now.
This is clown world. Oh my god. It's like the element of joking has been removed from society whatsoever.
Yeah. Raw feeding dropped in $2 and said, "Damn it, Bobby. Your urethra keeps getting in the way of having another child."
There's not a scrap of usable meat left.
Oh man. I don't know what Hank was.
I do like doing these late night with Honda chats without my kids playing video games in the other room. Like, it's nice that their mom doesn't live here anymore, is what I'm saying.
That is nice.
Oh man, I'm sorry, bro.
Matt,
no, I mean it's not like we broke up. We've been broke up. She fucking went through a divorce and needed a place to crash for a while, and I fucking let her sleep on the couch, and it was a pain in my ass.
Oh, dude.
Glad she's gone, dude.
So,
you're a nicer man than I.
I'm still amazed that you didn't end up like fucking the beehive or whatever.
Almost did. What's that, Taco?
See if I could share this. This was at SHOT Show, and the racist guy was saying he was having issues with his finger or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
the racist finger guy?
Yeah, the racist finger guy.
You're talking about me, Taco?
Yes, you. I don't remember your name. So.
You know,
you're having problems with your trigger finger, right? So like this rifle is fucking amazing for you. So this little thing right here, you hold it in front of you as you would, but the trigger is in here. So instead of using like your index finger, so it has a side angle grip in the front, and the side angle grip where your trigger is, and So instead of using your index finger to fire it, you could technically use whichever one, and it's probably going to be better for you.
Okay, so
actually, I'm really interested in that because I have certain, especially older firearms, I have a hard time with that really heavy trigger pull. Right, like I have a huge limited amount of motion. All right, I'll share my screen here. I'll show you real quick. So, okay, so you have this hand, right? You know, so this one, it goes down to about there. There. You see the difference what I'm talking about here?
Yep. Why don't you just pull it the rest of the way down?
Yeah, just yank it down, dude. Just go, and then the heel like that.
It's called the CCA or CAA Agita.
That's actually pretty interesting. So yeah, so that's my right hand. Like, so actually, the weird thing is I'm left side dominant, but I'm right-handed, but yet my right hand is disabled. You know, has problems. So it's like almost like I should just switch to shooting left hand, but
why don't
ejection.
It does feel a fucking bit awkward though.
Yeah, it's just the ejection pattern. I get like weird. I get crap in my face, and like
I don't know where to put my face.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me.
So I went to one of those tactical courses up north. I'd paid $150 to have put on a kit and have a guy yell at me while I shoot. One of those tactical things, and because I was training for doing some 2-gun and 3-gun stuff.
For like $10 and some beer, Honda and I would do that. We'll just shoot live ammo over your head while you shoot.
All right, get down.
Well, all you have to do is basically.
This guy on that fucking saying.
I'm sorry. Is that a squatch? So basically, what this guy did is he set up a bunch of targets at different distances, and I'm wearing this kit thing, and he's grabbing onto the back of the kit, with his hands and moving me around, shaking me around, yelling in my ear, even though I'm wearing ear pro. He's yelling at me and he's going 1, shoot 1, 4, 5, doing that stuff, throwing me to the ground, switch shoulders and stuff so it was almost I was out of control of my body. It was pretty intense.
Have you seen the ones where they yell at them in Spanish to tell them what to do with the gun?
No.
I've seen that before where they do norte and azul and shit like that mean different gun positions or whatever. I'm like, here we do up and down. But,
it's a PCC.
What's a PCC?
My favorite thing I've ever seen at a training course ever was someone doing that, what is that called? The John Wick shooting from the first John Wick where he's gun close. Center axis relock. It was someone doing center axis relock at a training course that was law enforcement. This was a real thing that happened in the real world, and I was watching this, and I'm just like, wow, it's like a unicorn.
Yeah, it's that gun I was talking to Racist Finger guy about. I posted the YouTube channel.
Racist Finger guy. Oh man,
I think we should give him a new nickname. I think his new Delta Tau Chi name is Finger Blaster.
Finger Blaster. There you go. I posted the
Finger Bang.
The YouTube thing on the YouTube video on that gun in the private chat if you want to look at it.
Okay. Checking it out.
Your Delta Tau Chi name is Pinto.
PCs and PCP. What never can go wrong with them. Raw Feeding says, "What you drinking, Honda? Crown cocktail over here." Nothing yet, but I could be convinced to take some shots. Why not?
Shot.
Super beer in a minute. I've been drinking yet. Sounds like it.
I'm already 3 in, so. Hey, Taco.
Ninja Turtles.
It's your boy Tupperware, man.
Oh, yeah. How's it going?
Good. I just got just saw you got in there right there, so came on the panel.
Oh, Jesus, now I'm outnumbered fucking 4-1 here.
I think they don't recommend drinking Heaven Hill vodka straight.
No, don't drink any vodka straight. What the hell?
Did you just gag?
What
that what that noise was?
Vodka perfect is, okay?
Was
you
that
can
you
drink
gagging
straight
from drinking Heaven Hill straight up? I'm going to take that as a yes.
I don't know. I like drinking liquor straight up, and I was not wanting to spend a ton of money, so I got Heaven Bell.
It does save on the mixer, for sure, and the calories too, for that matter.
Yeah, that's half of it.
Hey, Ray. I mean, I know you like drinking vodka straight up, and as do I. But have you ever had Pinnacle whipped cream vodka mixed with orange juice? It tastes like a creamsicle.
That sounds just like sugar and hangover all together.
Yes. But not as bad as a wine hangover, though.
I don't know if you do.
I'm
if
not
you do,
quite gay enough to drink that.
If you do just a little bit of like that sweetened lime juice, just like a splash of it, and then on the rocks with your vodka and mix it up, it gives it a little bit of fucking tang flavor and helps the medicine go down without giving you a ton of calories.
Yeah, just get you some Crown on the rocks. You'd be all right.
Oh God, I just was drinking Glenmorangie 12-year-old Scotch.
Ooh.
It's good.
Scotch.
Then you went to vodka?
A
What is
lot
wrong
better
with
than
you?
Heaven Hill.
Weird thing, the older I've gotten, like the separation between Scotch and bourbon. I've actually, when I was younger, in my 20s, I didn't know shit. But now it's like at the point like where I prefer bourbon. I
don't drink bourbon at all. Like, I don't know why you would drink that.
I just like, it's just where my palate is, man. It's like I have a terrible palate, as my brother would say. You know, he's like, you know, yeah.
What kind of bourbon though?
Well, obviously Gobble Gobble is always great, but I get like the Black Label Kentucky Stallion stuff. So
I like most Scotch, but my favorite in particular is the Glenmorangie Scotch, and then of their stuff, I like their sherry cask finished 12-year-old. It's some good shit. It's like $50 a bottle though.
This stuff is goddamn spicy. Fucking spicy. Hard to drink.
I have a question. Does it? I haven't tried it. But...
This is what I drink, but I've only got.
Oh, Jameson's good stuff. So here's my. Yeah, I mean it's like solid. It's like kind of like, you know, it's a safe bet. You know, Rittenhouse. So the problem I have with certain like whiskeys or any whiskey variant, right, is like when if they have a slight cinnamon aftertaste, I hate it. And I've noticed that with Pete.
You don't like Maker's Mark.
No,
I don't like it when they taste like wood. If it tastes like the fucking oak barrel that it came in, like, it's gross to me.
I don't like a peaty Scotch. That's why I like Glenmorangie over most of the rest of the Scotch, to be honest.
But that's why I like Jameson, though, because it has a bit of a sweetness at the end or whatever. I don't know what it is. It doesn't taste the same.
you definitely like Jack Daniels then.
Me?
Yeah.
No,
he hates
surprised.
Jack.
Well, the deal is my dad fucking used to drink Jim Beam on the rocks. And one day he told me it was apple juice when it definitely was not apple juice. And I chugged a whole bunch of Jim Beam on the rocks down like it was apple juice on a hot day. And I don't really remember anything after that, but I still don't like the taste.
Oh, God. Dude, this reminds me of like when my uncle, he spits, right? He chews tobacco, and he'd do it in his Pepsi cans. And he would set them down everywhere. And I just thought, oh, hey, Pepsi. Right? You can understand, I'm like 10 years old. I grab it, you know, I'm like, I just chug his. I was vomiting for like hours upon hours. It was just like, I was drinking my uncle's spit, and it's like, yeah, his scum. Yeah, like in there.
Right,
it was
enough
Can
of that
we
talk.
stop talking about that? Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
So your uncle basically baby birded you with Pepsi. And
Yeah.
No, with tobacco.
Tobacco.
Scum.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to go try to not vomit.
I'm sorry. Dude, Ray, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
I have had a Crown XR, according to one of the questions in the chat, and it is good. It is not worth the $100 a bottle.
Most stuff is not worth $100 a bottle.
No.
Like,
No.
even
It's
like
only worth that
12
if you got like extra money to burn. You know, you're like,
The only
well,
time
it's
it's
better than
worth
the base shit.
Even that 12-year-old single malt is, I would say, a dubious proposition as to whether it's worth it or not. And anything
Well, I mean,
above that is nuts.
It's the old law of diminishing return, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a certain level that's like, okay, this is how much you need to spend to get like a good quality product. And then if you spend a little bit more, it goes up. And if you spend more than that, it goes up a little bit. And if you spend more than that, it goes up even a little bit less. And then like the more you spend, the less it gets to a point.
I mean,
there is a $500 version of that scotch that you can buy.
Jesus.
I do not think it is worth
there
it.
is a fifth of, I think it's bourbon. Louis the 13th. What is that? Is that bourbon?
No, that's
I know that's
cognac.
Cognac. $1,700 fucking bottle.
Yeah, we used to sell that at a bar that I worked at. It was, what was it? $400 for a 2-ounce pour.
Oof. Damn.
I want to try it. I don't think I'll ever buy the fucking thing, but I do want to try it.
My guess
for a
is
2-ounce pour though, it's like fucking $200 an ounce.
my guess is that the $500 bottle scotch is probably really goddamn good, but it's probably not worth $500.
Well, see, that's the thing, right? Scotch is one of those things that if you spending $500, you will get a $500 experience.
Yeah, I'm sure it's worth it on some level. Like, it is a quality product, but like, is it worth it more than what 20 bottles of the 12-year-old scotch or whatever?
If you're trying to just get drunk, probably not, right? If you're just in it to have a great drink, I don't know.
Like, Jameson tastes good, dude. Rittenhouse Rye tastes like fucking fire in my mouth. It's gross.
I like a nice balance between the cost of the liquor and the quality of it. I end up drinking, I like Appleton Estate Jamaican rum. I drink that a lot.
I don't like buying alcohol that comes in a plastic bottle.
Neither do I. The only thing I buy in a plastic bottle is vodka, and that's just because I'm cheap.
Is somebody asleep?
What?
No, someone's microphone went all fucking sensitive or something. They got too close to the speaker.
Oh, was that me?
I have no idea.
No, it's not you.
Everyone thinks like the ATF got mad or something.
Yeah, they did. They got him in a holding cell, and they're squeezing him for all your information. All you people super chat him, they're coming for you.
Yeah, I'm probably next. So.
No, I think I get Brandon Herrera first. So you only got to watch out after they get Brandon.
They got bigger fish to fry, believe you me.
Yeah, they got to go after Grand. They got to go after, what's the FUD's name? Yankee. Yeah. So, no, what are your guys' thoughts on CRS? Like, I don't know, like, cause like for me, I mean, he makes entertaining content, and I appreciate his civil disobedience thing. I guess as Yankee said today, it was like the first video I watched of his in a year. But I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts though?
I don't watch the Yankee Marshal. I find it's good for my blood pressure.
On who? No. Who are we talking about?
Well, CRS Firearms. Yankee did a thing where he was talking about how he was like kind of applauding him for civil disobedience, which I do agree with. Like, the only way to move, I guess you would say, the Overton window or move the dial, if you will, is actually to challenge the ATF. And everyone, like, as much as we talk a bunch of shit about the ATF and stuff like that, it feels like, I don't know, us as a gun community, we joke about boogs and igloos and things like that, but like we're not really challenging them though. Like what Matt was doing or what, whatever auto key card, whatever they were doing, or even rare breed and things like that. Like, it feels like at least they were challenging. Like, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on?
I think it's stupid to play games like that to fucking challenge them. Like, if you're gonna fight this shit, you should just fight it.
But by the way, did you have a super chat?
Ending up in fucking federal prison over fucking auto key cards is stupid.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if everybody stood up in civil disobedience together, which would never happen, but if everyone did, then there's nothing they could do.
Yeah, I mean, it happened with pot.
With these mandates, if they're like, okay, we're gonna put in this mandate where if you want to eat in New York inside, you got to show your paperwork, and the companies don't comply, the people don't comply, no one complies, no one does anything, right? The people who were supposed to write them tickets don't do it. That's the big one. That's another big one.
My thing is, there's two ways not to comply with that. Like, you could go to the restaurant without the mask and make a big deal of it and get arrested, or you could go and start your own fucking underground fucking mob restaurant shit and fucking go make money. Like, use multiple ways to fight the situation or whatever. Like, why are you picking the option that goes to fucking prison?
Yeah, no, okay, so Ray, like, kind of like to use a Prohibition analogy. I've been really researching a lot about Prohibition history and stuff. It's been very fascinating because it's relevant to now. So you're kind of like talking about people who are openly, like for example, open carrying or open drinking during Prohibition kind of thing with the first analogy. The second one would be open a speakeasy. It's like, but I mean, the only thing that ended Prohibition, or for example, what ended in Colorado, is just like mass non-compliance. But like we're talking about guns now, so it's a little bit like, I mean, I know it's apples oranges a little bit, but like
any prohibition that they do is just an opportunity to make money. That should be first and foremost. Like, if they do a prohibition on firearms to the point that like all of us in here are fucking criminals, why not go make money?
Absolutely. And here's the reason. Like, I was talking with, I think it was Charger in the Discord, on Honda's Discord, about it. Like, what really should have happened as soon as like the rare breed triggers got the sniff of that ATF like letter like months ago, what they really should have done is immediately license their patent out like to like every manufacturer. I'm talking like PSA, like everybody who makes triggers and parts, right? Super cheap. Sell those like FRT triggers and or WOT triggers, whatever you want to call it, those forced reset triggers, to so pretty much the market is proliferated with them, and not charge $400 for them, but $100 for like a forced reset trigger. Hell yeah, I'll buy that. I mean, yeah, it's if you're doing like creating a product out of protest of like the NFA, why not do that? And as opposed to like, look, I know they have to develop, recoup their cost of R&D and all these other things, but like if as soon as the ATF got a whiff of it, and you're kind of like up against the ropes a little bit, so to speak, like shouldn't we have like, I don't know, I would have done that.
So what I'm telling you is that the punishment for the game that they're playing is severe enough and bad enough that they might as well just be passing out machine guns in the streets of fucking Chicago. So why not?
Well, and if it gets to that point where it's like in for a penny, in for a pound, and that's, I think that's what you're saying, right? Is like, well, fuck, if I'm already illegal for having this thing, then I might as well put a fucking thing in it that makes it a full fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Once you've already shot one of the guards of the armored car, you have to shoot the other guards of the armored car because there's a witness.
Exactly. Going back to heat.
I mean, you're gonna die anyway, so.
Yeah. Well,
Daniel dropped in $5. Says, funny enough, you can get Louis the 13th. It's the 13th, not the 12th. On your scholarship meal credits at Duke University. Good way to waste your leftover scholarship money.
God.
Well, the empty bottle, like just the bottle, is worth like $2,000 or $3,000.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking like crystal with gold inlaid and jewels in it and shit. It's like a crown.
See, again, this is like, that's not drinking that because it's good. That's like showing off at that point. They could have fucking water in that bottle.
Well, the thing about it is, whenever they make a new batch or whatever, they take some from the old batch and put it in the new batch. So technically, there's some that goes all the way back to Louis the 13th when he was drinking it.
Okay.
Which makes it expensive.
So they take like a little pipette of it, like a little drop, and put it in.
I don't know how much it is. It's some amount.
That's called spin and marketing.
Well, I mean, like, let's be honest though. Like, the only time, like, I know, at least for me, the only time I shell out for back when I was younger, when I actually gave a shit for like expensive alcohol, was just for like, trying to impress a hot chick. I mean, like, to the point I was on a date, like, where I had to wear a suit coat type of thing. But
yeah, that's where you order calamari for your appetizer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like, you're wearing a suit coat.
We don't want mozzarella sticks. We want calamari.
It was
basically mozzarella sticks of the sea.
Yeah. And you tucked in your shirt, and you had to wear pants that didn't have cargo pockets.
Say, this sounds like a date I'm not going on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Not anymore. It was in my 20s. I cared about that shit. But yeah, it's like, at the end of this bottle, I'm not paying for the alcohol. I'm paying for pussy. That's what I'm doing. Yeah,
or the kind of date where like you just skip to the end.
Obviously, I think we'd all be there, but unfortunately, especially in our 20s, chicks had us around a little.
Isn't it funny how that's just like a shit test, basically, from the chick? Like, how much money can you spend on me? I'm gonna fuck you at the end, but how much money are you gonna spend on me in the meantime?
Well, that's the game.
I guess I'll keep coming back because you apparently have enough money to buy expensive stuff.
That's the game, right?
Yeah.
Versus if you show up in a Pinto, like, she'll still probably fuck you at the end. but you might not get that callback. You know,
You remember the hot crazy matrix for women that lawyer on Yeager's channel made? He made one for guys too, and it explains this, and it's like the hot money axis, and like once you go so far on the money axis, it no longer matters how hot you are.
It was just like two things. That's it for the guys.
Yeah, that's the whole chart.
Oh yeah, no, it's like for us as men, it's like, how young are they and how hot are they, and then for women,
But see, I wouldn't even think that.
How much money?
How much money do you have? How big is your dick, and does it work? Like,
yeah.
So I wouldn't even say that, because you have to be a certain level of hot and have a certain level of talkativity to you to even attempt to get a date.
Well, especially the younger you are, the more you care about, the less you care about, say, the intellect and the conversation, the company, and more about the visual.
Dude, if you show up in a Lamborghini, you can speak in broken sentences and get a date.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but see that if that means you have enough of one thing to overcome the others. Like say if you're driving around in a Hyundai, like you have to have something with you besides just looks.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit charming. Yeah, you have to make them laugh a little bit. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's just like this is this parallel for women. It's resources for men. It's like I want healthy, good-looking babies so they can procreate genes. I mean,
TC says if you have a big enough dick, they don't care about your money. And to you, TC, I will say there's always a bigger dick.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you say that, but not always. I mean,
there's one dude out there who can say there's not.
Oh, I've seen him. I've seen him. It was 14 inches long, and yes, he can safely say there's not.
No, there was a Vice fucking article about this guy. He has to have like special pants to hold his dick because he's basically got a dick the size of his leg. He's got like elephantitis dick.
I don't know about that dude. This was just some dude I saw in Tulsa.
Wait. Oh, okay. Well, I thought you were talking about the guy from India that had the Guinness.
No,
I don't know where he was. Maybe it was India.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Taco. Go ahead.
There is. I don't know if he's alive anymore or anything, but the dude that was in The Godfather, right? In Cuba, and they were playing the bongo drums or whatever, and he came out and fucked the chick.
Godfather 2?
I think it was Godfather 2.
Okay.
That dude had a 16-inch penis, so fuck your 14.
Oh. There's a man in Britain that has the side-by-side penis, and they're both 10.5 inches and functional.
Wow.
Yeah, here's your guy right here. Oh, I'm not I thought it was screen sharing.
Whoa!
Jesus. What the fuck?
It goes to his knee! Is that the Indian guy from India? No.
Man, he has to put it in a fucking sock.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Jesus.
I feel like a little baby with an acorn pee-pee.
Just saying, boys. It's always a bigger dick.
Plus, I've seen some of the plastic toys that are at the shops, and I'm like, yep,
you
that's
some
not
of the plastic toys? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I've seen some of the plastic toys that the ladies play with.
That's what I heard.
I own some of those, and you have reason to worry.
Not only that, I've seen chicks fucking fuck street cones, right? So
yeah, I may or may not have.
Taco.
What?
Stop talking about me.
Taco, I may or may not have, like in spring break in Mazatlan, gone outside the city to go see a woman with a donkey. So, yeah.
Right, and see, we're only talking about human dicks. Fucking donkey dicks?
Yeah. It was, so I'm just saying, like, I have a question, though, about this. Like, I know this has been kind of circulated on social media about the Fight Club ending in China. So, but the ending in the book, though, ends with him in asylum. I mean, I know spoiler alert or whatever, but, like, that's how it ends in the book.
How did they change the ending?
So they apparently, like, cut off the part where the buildings blow up and then have, like, text come in and say, and everyone was arrested or something like that.
Yeah. So, actually, funny enough, I actually have a copy right here, and it's just like, because of the chapter 30 of Fight Club ends with he's like talking about heaven, you know, and all those things. And it turns out he's actually in an asylum. Like God's actually his psychiatrist that's in there. But then one of the orderlies just gives him a little wink that Project Mayhem is still going according to plan. I mean, that's how the book ends. So, I mean, in a weird way, they're kind of like a little bit more faithful to the book, but not to the spirit of the ending, I guess, so to speak.
You need to bring one black jacket, one pair of black pants, one pair of black boots, $600 in personal burial money to that shit house in Detroit we found.
Well, Meatloaf did die. His name was Robert Paulson.
Yeah,
Yep.
he
name
passed
was
away.
Robert Paulson. Members of Project Mayhem do have names in death.
Holy shit!
No, I still think though, like the weird thing about the Chinese edits of certain films, in some respects, it's kind of interesting to see that. Like,
well, going
Hollywood...
back to Red Dawn, I mean, it just shows what kind of power they have in Hollywood. Because traditionally, like, let's say there was some movie coming out in like 1970 that painted China in a bad light.
Mm-hmm.
And China came to the director or the studio or the government or whoever and was like, yo, can you change this because we don't like it? They would have laughed and said, fuck off. But now, since they have so much money and influence and power and so much of their audience and their revenue comes from China, they suddenly listen to them and make these shit fucking movies. Same thing that they're doing with pandering to the fucking leftist fucking crazy people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they ruin the movie. It's like from South Park in the future where what's his name is telling jokes about going to the fucking Mexican restaurant. Like, you know what they say about Mexican food?
They're perfectly nice people. They're very clean.
It's delicious and quite well priced. And everyone laughs. It's like that kind of shit, dude. That's where we're going, and that's what they want. And it's like, I think that they're looking over at us like fucking idiots, dude. Like, look how good we've tricked these people. Look how good we fucking drugged them and changed their fucking society to the point where they're like dogmatically following their leaders and not questioning anything and like going along with the program that we've set forward. You know, it's crazy, dude.
Well, I mean, okay, so this is a very interesting subject to me, like with especially with Disney, right? Like, let's face it, Disney's going to buy at the end of the decade. Disney's going to own every movie studio in North America and media company. So
doubtful.
Well, I mean, you know, they're already halfway there.
They won't legally.
Well, I mean, look what happened to General Electric, right? General Electric decided to take their manufacturing processes over to China, move their plants over there. So they're no longer making electric motors and turbines and things here. They started making them there. Within a couple of years, there were all of these other Chinese companies making the exact same products General Electric was making in the factories in China because they had a non-disclosure agreement with the government saying any patents and any information that they have about any products that they're making must be disclosed to the government. And then pretty soon they had government entity factories making these same products to the point where like GE used to be number one by far in the world when it came to the manufacturing of certain things, right? Mm-hmm. And now they're like number 5, and number 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all Chinese fucking companies.
Yeah, and it's well, going back at least to entertainment though, it's so Disney actually constructs their films for, they'll say, oh, we're really inclusive and diverse in this, but they actually construct their films in the editing process so that for foreign markets, i.e. China, they can simply edit out, like the new James Bond film, for example, where Q came out as gay. It was like this very superfluous, weird scene that was inserted, but it could be easily edited out. Like you could just like cut and splice super easy, so it wouldn't have like. So the thing is, like, they're pandering to the leftists, like, you know, oh look, we're being inclusive, we're doing these things, but yet to their oligarchs, their Marxist oligarchs, you know, the real money behind the machine, they edit it out for them. So it's obviously hypocritical. It's just complete. It's not like they're having artistic integrity. Yeah, I just
wish that all the people that like Fight Club would actually just start Project Mayhem.
I'm not allowed to talk about it. Okay.
Daniel dropped in $2 and said, "Let's place bets on when Pootie Poo invades Ukraine."
Oh, any day.
I would say before the midterm election.
So
they're going to need some sort of a fucking distraction from what's been happening. I mean, did you guys see what happened? I forget what state it was that challenged and ruled the fucking mail-in voting to be like unconstitutional the way that they passed it, and
Wisconsin.
Hence it was Wisconsin. They shouldn't have counted those votes, and they're not going to be able to get it done the way that they're supposed to via the Constitution in time to get it on the 2022 ballot or whatever. So they're not going to be able to do their mail-in ballot shit, and that sets precedents for other states to challenge their shit based upon the unconstitutional way that those new voting implementation took place. You know what I mean?
I know this is going to sound like a little bit like too little too late, but this is a frustration I've had that is exemplified by the 2020 election. I'm not going to say anything that's going to get you kicked off of YouTube comment, but like what I was going to say is the real frustration though that I had was the fact that like it felt like everyone was moving at a slow as molasses pace with like, you know, legal red tape and everything, but then another side of the process was moving like cutting through all the red tape. It just felt imbalanced, and like kind of what you're talking about now. That's a real frustrating thing to me. It's like what the constituency is saying is like, hey, something's not right. There's something rotten in the state of Denmark, and you know, like, well, we'll investigate it. Like what happened with Arizona, we'll have to do this thing, and it takes a really long time. But they're just moving through with the process anyway. So I don't know. My question is though, like what you just said is like, how do you rectify that? Like, what is there to like, where you have basically they're doing the bureaucratic blocking process while something else is just getting fast lane through. You know what I'm trying to say? Am I making sense to you?
The only thing to do is to start hunting ginseng and save up money and move to Belize.
Oh, Belize with the dollar.
Well, the thing is, they weren't able to get it done in time. So when it came to the election that happened, the fact that the things were unconstitutionally done didn't matter because there was like a certain time limit to when the results had to be in, and like all the fucking shit that happened around it, dude. It's obvious to me what happened.
Yeah.
And again, you can't speak about these things on YouTube because then you won't have a YouTube channel to speak about anything about, which
exactly
again shows. And I've been okay. So hold on. I have not been on YouTube very much lately watching videos from people. Why? Because when I go click on YouTube, it's like, well, what are the things that I'm interested in that are still on YouTube? You got
Not much.
Fucking motorcycle videos that are cool about stuff that I like. You've got like these like fail videos and cat videos and stuff that are just fun to have in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But all the people that I used to listen to, all the fucking thinkers, all the people who would come on YouTube and have something to say that was perhaps politically spicy, right?
Mm-hmm.
No longer on YouTube. You have to go somewhere else to find them. You have to go somewhere else to find these conversations. They're killing their own platform because they think that they own the entire market. But the thing is, in doing so, they're opening up holes in the market to let other companies in. But then as soon as one of them gets big enough, they just buy them out too. So that's kind of their plan. So I don't know how that goes. But I have not been on YouTube very much for that reason. And it makes me worried about my future on YouTube because, like, this is where you guys are watching me. And if things keep going down the line, like, either people who want to listen to these kinds of conversations aren't going to be on YouTube in the first place at best, or I'm not going to be here to have the conversation in the first place. You know what I mean?
Well,
just move to
Spotify.
Spotify.
Same camp, so it'll be okay.
Just move to Spotify. That's all you got to do. You'll be all right.
Well, I mean, the thing, yeah, I mean, like, I look at it this way. It's like, everyone talks about BitChute or Rumble or whatever and those places right now. But the problem is, though, it's just like the UI is terrible, and it's just not like as easily accessible or easy to maintain like YouTube. But I mean, even like with one of my all-time favorite YouTubers, he just got 2 strikes today for like menial content. And he's spicy, Razor Fist. Like, so now he's not even streaming. You know, like he usually streams on Fridays, Saturday nights, and stuff like that. But
Isn't that the name of the bad guy in that Marvel movie?
He had it before then, but yeah, Shang-Chi, yeah. But I
actually do like Razor Fist, dude. Razor Fist, like, the thing that I like about him is like those rants that he does, you know, where
yes.
Like, he's very fucking concise about the things that he says, but he does it in a fucking, I don't know. Like, he must have went to fucking acting school or some shit. I don't know what it is.
Or maybe he's just a psycho like me.
Well, I think the thing is what's great about it. He actually went to broadcasting school. He's talked about in a few of his like kind of
Yeah,
podcasts
that's what it
and stuff.
was.
Yeah, he's just like he's able to like concisely construct an argument and like a rant that's just amazing and entertaining, but also informative. But yeah, he's gotten 2 strikes, so he's like kind of like. But the thing is, though, he doesn't have the infrastructure, say someone like a Crowder or whatever, who's able to have lawyers on retainer to count. Like that's the hard part, though. It's like we're talking about like, okay, so people are like, well, I don't like this guy, I don't like this guy. But what happens to the guy you do like that says some spicy stuff or didn't even say anything that spicy? I mean, I could see easily within 5 years that like even someone who's apolitical, just educational, like Gun Jesus, right? I could see YouTube removing him easily.
I mean, they started with Alex Jones and no one said anything.
I know, and that's what part of I'm like.
First they came for the Jews.
And you did nothing. Then they came for the gypsies and the Christians and you did nothing. Yeah, it's true. It's kind of messed up situation though. By the way, you were scrolling, did you see the little people advocate like kind of yelling about Peter Dinklage?
No.
Oh, it was so the guy who's the leprechaun who played in WWE. Yeah, he went on this huge rant about like the hypocrisy of Peter Dinklage and like kind of what he was like talking about little people representation, dwarves in representation in media, and he's just like he's a huge dick and ruined it for all of us because the only jobs we can get is to play dwarves or little elves or things like that, or leprechauns, whatever.
I mean, did you ever see the movie Willow?
Oh God,
they employed like all of them.
Have you ever seen this documentary called Return of the Jedi?
Yes. Oh man, so many times.
Well, Willow was like fucking The Hobbit before they had the special effects to make people look small.
Yeah.
So they were just like, well, we already have small people. Just hire them.
Have you seen the Hobbit cartoon from like the 70s?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Bashki. Yeah. I'm an animation major. That was like gospel. So. Yeah, we had the Ralph Bashki and Don Bluth movies were like studied.
I need to get Lord of the Rings animated still. I want to watch it.
It's good. It holds up really well. And then like you have John Hurt as Aragorn. Dude, his voice just so deep and raspy. It's so great.
John Hurt always sounded like he was a 90-year-old man on the verge of death.
Exactly.
20.
Daniel is saying, according to most people in the know, it will be next week. Are you talking about Ukraine? Wouldn't surprise me. Again, I would say definitely well before the voting for the midterm election.
I
see them not having the political will to do anything about it. I see fucking Putin knowing that because he's Putin and he's fucking in there regardless of who's in office in America. And that's one of the weaknesses of America, for better or worse, is every 4 to 8 years we get all new leadership, and like any deal that we might have had with the old leadership is up for grabs, and who knows what's going to happen. And so there's a lot of instability around the world, I believe.
Not to mention
at any time, like America can just revamp and go back on the deals that they've set forward. I mean, look at the Native Americans, dude.
When you elect a crazy orange man, then they just freak out and hide everything for 4 years, wait for him to leave, and then start their operation back up again.
Aren't you living on native land there, Ray?
Apparently they gave, what was it, the whole eastern half of Oklahoma back to the Cherokee Nation or some shit.
No, they did, because the treaties that were signed beforehand were not like fucking honored. And so the land was just taken from them, and they finally got their day in fucking court.
I have Cree, Cherokee, and Choctaw blood, so I'm cool.
So it's like 150 years later, though, you know what I mean? It took them 150 years to even get some semblance, like even on paper, of justice. And it's not justice, and it's laughable. This fucking country that we live in, you could even consider that we have any form of justice.
The lie of justice in this country is that.
Well, I mean, go ahead.
How long shit takes? Like, we don't have speedy trials.
No, that's that. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, look what happened with Indiana. Indiana was supposed to be set up as a state, literally, for the Eastern, like Indians, like the with the Iroquois, which is actually a confederacy of different tribes, like like the Seneca and things like that in the Eastern. So they're like, okay, we'll set up a whole state for you, and that got taken back, And then they did the same thing with Oklahoma, and that got taken back. And then they eventually went to the reservation system. That's all cute.
Hey man, we still got Oklahoma. Like it's still here. Like they just allotted out the land and fucked everybody over hardcore for about 100 years. It's okay.
Who's this Daga Doctor guy? Okay. Daniel dropped in $2 and said, "Can you tell the Daga Doctor to call him his tits?" He's been commenting a lot. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be attacking anybody or anything, though.
What's the Daga Doctor?
He's in the chat.
Oh.
He's just commenting a lot. I don't see anything that's like, "Fuck you, you piece of shit. You smell like sweaty titties," or something.
But like when it comes to like speedy trial, that's something that like what I was talking about, what was happening with the election thing. It's like there wasn't just enough time to investigate, like because they're like, oh, we have this timeline, we have to get this done before then, so it's a hurry up and wait thing. And then same thing as like what Honda was talking about earlier. That's what's like I kind of in a way think that's like how they're getting around like kind of due process.
You remember in Batman Begins when Ra's al Ghul's talking about how society is a bloated fat cow that deserves to die?
Yep.
I kind of feel that way. I feel more that way every day.
Well, the problem is when it comes down to it, we have a problem in our society, and that is that we've spent a generation and a half, 2 generations with socialism, semi-socialism in our country, where we've been taking care of people and feeding people and like giving people medical care for free and doing all this stuff for them, in spite of the fact that people aren't providing it for themselves and not providing any fucking material benefit to the society at large in which they draw upon. And they've allowed those populations of people to propagate and grow over generations and years to the point where they're a huge fucking problem right now. And if you were to turn off that fucking sieve, that resource reallocation towards those people, society would fail almost overnight, because those very people would tear it down from within, because they're not able to take care of themselves, because the only way that they would be able to feed their families and stuff would be to steal from their neighbors, and then it's the breakdown of society.
Remember on Rick and Morty when they changed the value of galactic currency from 1 of itself to 0 of itself, and it caused the collapse of the galactic empire? I think that's the United States, basically.
Well, yeah.
Cards.
Well, I think
good.
Oh yeah, I was going to just say that on a bigger socio-political scale, especially where we live and how good we've had it for so many generations, we're in a weird way, we're like wild animals that have become domesticated, and we grew up in domestication, but we still have our wild instincts, right? But like when society, like I guess you would say the farm goes under and we're just left to our own devices, we don't know what to do because we don't know how to operate in the wild anymore.
Well, what happens if, let's say you bought like 1 million square miles of land and fenced it off, right? So nothing can get in and nothing can get out, theoretically. Like, I'm not saying you can actually do this or whatever, but just say in theory this happens.
Right.
And you go to the middle of this land, and every day you drop like 500 pounds of grain in different piles for the animals to come in and eat, right? And you do this for years. So for 10 years, animals inside of this 500 square mile pin are going to be extra well fed with more food than they could want. So they're able to just have a bunch of kids, and the kids can come eat the food too, and everything's great. And then one day, you stop bringing grain. What happens to those animals? They
competing for
Well, they're well beyond any equilibrium with their environment as far as the food that it can produce. They're well beyond any instinct to go looking there in the first place to even find the food in the natural environment, like they would have known in the first place to do when there was the natural amount of them in the environment to begin with. And they're going to starve to death. And the big ones are going to eat the little ones that can eat food, eat meat or whatever, and the ones that can't are just going to starve.
My instincts tell me to go get a side-by-side sawed-off shotgun and like a V8 car and some leather chaps.
I was going to say, if you actually go back to the welfare system, we all saw how this happened about 7 years ago or so under Obama, when they cut off the EBT system for like 2 or 3 days, and people were just going into Walmarts and stuff, filling up carts, knowing they had nothing on their card, and trying to swipe the stuff, and they're like, "Oh, it won't actually read. Okay, I guess I get all this shit for free now." And then when it finally came back on, they just left a bunch of cart full of food there.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's where it goes real fucking quick. And then worse than that is like, what happens if all the stores start taking so much losses that they have to close down? Now the people who are part of the society, who are contributing members, who have fiat currency in their pocket to purchase items with, don't even have a store with which to purchase them in.
What happens when
stores oh good.
What happens when like the small business owners and shit decide, oh, I'm not going to get robbed anymore, and they go to people like the mob and pay them to protect their stores instead of the police?
Well, eventually that's what happens, right? Because like you can't count on the police anymore, so you have to hire your own private. And it's not necessarily the mob. There'd be perfectly legitimate security companies that could step in and do it. But then that goes into okay. So then what happens to your price of a pound of beef if you have to have a security guard at the ranch to make sure no one's stealing the cattle? You got to have security guards on the truck to make sure that they get to the slaughterhouse. You got to have security guards at the slaughterhouse to make sure they don't get raided. You got to have security guards on the trucks from the slaughterhouse to the fucking store so they don't get fucking taken over. You got to have security guards at the store to make sure it's not stolen. And then if you're rich enough, you got to have a security guard at your house to make sure your kids don't get beaten and raped while you're off buying a steak.
If this actually does go the way of no more police or whatever, I think we are going to see shit like the mob become popular again. Because, like, how many of us would it take with a few guns to secure a territory the size of a city? It wouldn't be very many. Not if you're willing to do some really fucked up shit to do it, you know?
Like the Westies
are handcuffed by their fucking laws.
I mean, like, look at the Westies, what they were able to do in Hell's Kitchen, well, I guess you'd say Clinton, New York, all the way even until the 90s. I mean, they had it under control, like, even under Giuliani.
Yeah.
You know, they were able to just, like, get away with murder in front of, like, there's a lot of stories. I think Gavin McInnes even talked about one, but it was like, you know, leader of the Westies would go in, blast a guy in a bar, and the cops would come in and be like, what happened here? No one would say anything. You know, it was just...
The old school Italian mob was a second government. That was the whole point of it.
Well, even the Italian mob was scared of the Westies because they were like, at that time from the 70s to the 90s, before the John Gotti stuff like that and all that stuff came out, like when they fell apart. So, but they were like the meth head Irish mob in Hell's Kitchen, and got renamed to Clinton. Like they were like doing crazy stuff like chopping people up and putting them in duffel bags and leaving them on the Washington Bridge or whatever. So yeah, it was like they were doing stuff that the Italian mob was like, even like, no, we ain't even gonna do business with these guys.
All you gotta do is look fucking south, though. I mean, to see where it goes.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Though, is if they do abandon law, like this is where it goes. No bones about it.
In that case, there's no amount of people that you can throw at an area to make it secure and safe, because there's always going to be another group looking for an angle, looking for a hole, looking for a weakness, looking for a way to take your territory and make it theirs. And so therefore, there is no area that a small number of people could actually hold, maybe for a short period of time. Maybe you could terrorize some people and make everyone scared, but then there's going to be some other guy next door who looks over and sees that there's only a couple of you at the top holding this big area and knows it, you know? Like, there's going to be always a fucking challenger, and that's Civil War. That's what Civil War looks like, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It's
what
like
we're talking about is the evolution of regional warlords.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking, and it boils down to like far enough in like, you know, the dystopia, or even like what Honda said, look further enough south. It's so true. It's like you have, you know, certain like few people rise up and then they challenge the big dog on the block, and you know, either they take over or they get absorbed or they get destroyed, you know. And it's like, and the thing is, though, it's like really weird. It's like how we almost come full back to this, to what we escaped from with the Age of Enlightenment, which is the feudal system. This fight, you know, having fiefdoms. You have a few select haves, you know, the warlords, the people at the top who own all the land, production, and everything else like that. Then you have the have-nots that are just there to like facilitate that.
I
And
kind of
so-
see the time that we're about to go through as being like the Reaper's Scythe. Like, there's a lot of fucked up shit that's been going on for a long time, and I think it's about to end.
It's
I
definitely.
hope it ends.
It feels like the captain of the ship is steering us towards the rocks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
there could be moves that could be made potentially. I'm not saying that it, like it's going to happen because I don't think it will. But could the ship be turned off of the course that we're on? Perhaps. But it seems like every move that they make, they're only hitting the accelerator. You know what I mean? They're only fucking steering us harder into the rocks. They're not fucking making anything better at all.
You go to the bridge and find out that your ship is, captained by Farragut.
It's like that bitch who tried to pull a fucking 180 in the Suez Canal or whatever and clock the whole thing up.
Farragut is the one who's famous for saying, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead."
Did that ship get pushed by wind, or like what the fuck happened with that?
I don't know. That was weird though.
And then it happened again. Like that was another one that seemed like, how do we fuck everything up? I know. Let's get a ship stuck in the Suez Canal. Hey, we did it. Oh, they got it unstuck. What do we do? Hey, why don't you just get another one stuck in the Suez Canal? Like, what the fuck?
I think part of it might be that, like, the people that used to run the canal went home, and the only people left running that canal were, like, the Egyptians and Arabians that fucking run it or whatever. And, like, not to talk shit about people, but I wouldn't trust them to run anything. So...
Or was it the Panama Canal? What am I thinking of?
It was the Suez that they got the ship stuck in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing though is like what I like to use with like ship analogy, social politically. It's like because I know you use this reference a lot, but it's like the Titanic. We need someone not just to tell the captain there's icebergs in the water, but we need someone where we're at now. We need someone to come in, push him, relieve him of duty, and then completely turn the wheel. That's kind of the problem. Is no one feels.
I think that we needed Trump to, when he took office, immediately charge everyone in government with corruption.
No, I mean he should have just anyone who he could have appointed to an office should have been replaced.
Yeah,
like, every single office that he could have appointed anyone to should have been a new person who may or may not be. You know what I mean? Like if you're appointing that many people. Like, there's going to be some bad apples in there, but like compared to the number of bad apples that are already in there, and then all of those people should appoint new cabinets or whatever it is below them, so they've got fresh new people from top to bottom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the fucking corruption that just happens in Capitol Hill, that's just systematic, that fucking is ingrained into what the people who were already in power in those like weird fucking positions do. Won't be able to happen, at least not without some grease, right? And then they start greasing everything. You can see where that grease goes. That money has to fly from somewhere and to somewhere. And then you can start tracing it and get rid of those people who get greased up and find out who's doing the greasing. You know what I mean?
I watched this documentary about this guy that was afraid of bats. And there's a part in it where they're like, this system breeds suffering and injustice and should be allowed to die. That's just like ever since 2020 happened. That's just all I fucking hear.
Like I think though, like actually parlaying off that and what Honda said though, it's like the FBI, how complicit they were in like the corruption in the FBI during I don't know, like everyone has short-term memory loss of what happened during the from 2016 to 2020 a little bit, but like the FBI leadership was complicit into like what turned out to be fraud with the investigation. And
then there is the whole Comey thing at the election with the FBI that I still don't understand.
Yeah, I was talking to like one of my clients, this guy who's a retired FBI guy. I'll keep him. I won't give any more details about him, but like he was saying though, it's just like the thing is like you have people who went to the FBI under the Clinton administration that are highly partisan. And like the ideologues versus the people who are there just to solve crime, who want to, work in the lab and things like that. But it's the ideologues who are running the show. So
here's everything you need to know about it, as far as I'm concerned. Look at the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. She got convicted. She got put in prison. For what? Does anyone know?
Nope.
Trafficking, I believe.
Trafficking, yes. Trafficking to whom?
Exactly. Prince Andrew.
No. In court, according to court records, according to evidence presented in court and publicly available, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were in the business of trafficking children to themselves.
Yep.
No one else is implicated. No other information came out. No subsequent charges for no other individuals were issued. No public fucking information on any group or any fucking funding or anything behind any of anything ever came out. The masses are placated because, as far as they're concerned, Ghislaine Maxwell got convicted and, she went to court and, dang it, America's justice system works and it's great. It's like, no, you just need to dig a little bit deeper into it to understand that was a cover-up and she was a patsy, even though she was complicit, even though she did things, even though she was a person who was directly involved with taking children and putting them in front of people of power so that they would get evidence on them to control them. Even though that all was true, the only thing that she got in trouble for was bringing the children to himself and to Jeffrey Epstein. No one else was implicated. So, yeah.
I thought it was highly suspicious that the judge sealed the documents of like the 8 witnesses. Like that's the 8, basically, I guess you would say.
Well, and then here's the other part about it. Who was the prosecutor in the case?
Oh, it was oh god, she was okay. I know she's connected. I forget who she's connected to. Oh god,
well, you were just talking about James Comey, weren't you?
Oh yeah,
Comey's daughter.
It was James Comey's daughter was the prosecutor, who was the very person who limited the discovery and the subject of the prosecution to very, very pinpoint specific things in order to exclude the other information from coming out, which I believe, honestly, is fucking deep state, fucking insider like information gathering and control, command and control fucking methods that they use on people in power and who have money in order to get them to do what they want and to say what they want and to buy what they want when they want them to without asking questions because they've got fucking dirt on them because they went to Epstein Island.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like...
And you're not allowed in the meetings. You're not allowed in anything unless you've already been to the island. So that's the other part of it, right? Like you have to make your bones, right? That's the thing. And if you make your bones with the people, that means they've got you because they've got your bones and they can always turn them in and you're fucked. That's the very point. That's the very meaning. That's the very fucking process by which these powers fucking operate in this country. Secretly, covertly, right in front of your fucking eyes.
And again, it's just like us as like Americans, we always like pride ourselves like, well, we could hold the government accountable. I'm not saying everyone feels this way, but like a majority, I would say, of conservatives are always like, well, we can hold them accountable because the law is applicable to all, no matter what. All these other like kind of placating lies. I think the thing is ultimately what happens is obviously we see is rules for thee, not for me. And I guess I'm trying to word myself very carefully because we're on YouTube, but I'm really frustrated that we can't hold these people accountable to make them scared. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, as we talk
control from top to bottom, dude.
Yeah.
Again, look at what happened with McCarthyism.
Yeah.
There were fucking communists who were working for foreign agents working within our government back then. And there were so many of them that they were able to cover tracks for each other and frustrate prosecution while at the same time using media, which they also controlled, to paint the guys looking crazy for even asking the questions in the first place. And it's been so fucking rampant that to this day, McCarthyism has this fucking connotation of a witch hunt to it, even though it turns out that many of the people that he was going after were indeed agents.
Yeah, and and like it wasn't just politicians, just like people who were working in laboratories in California and New York, where all of a sudden you saw communism and socialism ideals, and I guess you would say, especially in California, but in San Francisco specifically, gave birth from, like where all the communist movement really started. I guess you say socialist movement really started from the 50s. Were actual lab assistants and people who were working in top secret programs, like the Manhattan Project, for example. And that's...
What was that one where they had fucking hookers make the guy do drugs, and then they would sleep with them and get evidence, And then
Midnight
they would see what they would get the guy to do as a result of that evidence because he had a wife and kids or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Project Midnight Climax. That was the thing is that's what Epstein Island really is. It's like they never ended that CIA op.
They did from that CIA op is learn how effective it is.
Exactly.
And expand that to use it in positions of higher power and to put people like judges or whoever in positions knowing what their bones are, holding that over their head as a way to control them. And it works.
Oh, yeah. If you actually even look, this is one of the very few publicized incidents that the FBI released. But this guy was telling me about it, and he sent me the link to it. This retired FBI agent I talked to. Anyway, he was telling me in 1980, there was the FBI constructed a black ops of where they would actually do this thing where they're pretending to be a lobby. They invite politicians in D.C. They're based in D.C., to come to this hotel. They would talk and they would bribe members of the Senate and House of Representatives. And this was 1980. If you want to, please look it up. So if you want to check my facts or whatever, I have it. But anyway, what they did is actually it was like over half of the members of Congress and House and Senate agreed to their terms of blackmail and also bribery to do what they wanted. And there was only I think it was 25% were it was such negative press got released about it. Most of them retired, quit. But then,
all you got to do is look at the fucking antics of the FBI and the CIA and see what they've been up to and know that they're not always on the level, and they'll lie to your face, and they'll make up evidence, and they'll fucking throw you in prison and throw away the key and laugh about it and not care and take pictures of fucking they're standing on your dead children's bodies. Go on.
I have no recollection of these events, sir. That's what they like to say a lot.
Yeah. And the thing with I hate to say,
I'm familiar with that information.
Yeah. Or what was it during the January 6th thing that was going on last month with Pelosi? It was just the Senate, we do not discuss the FBI's investigation. That was just getting that line over and over.
Rand Paul when he was questioning that FBI agent, and she was I can't answer that at this time. I can't answer that, or whatever she said. I forget what it was.
Yeah, because it was all about Ray Epps. Because the thing is, it kind of came out that there was Ray Epps. If you look up Ray Epps, if anyone's interested or knows about it, it's very interesting. There's this guy that was kind of antagonizing, and it definitely he talked to he had certain people in the crowd he was operating with to kind of basically manipulate the mob or the people to do things. And I know Tim Pool talked about it and stuff too, but this has kind of been on the radar for a little bit, so I'm sure everyone who's listening to this knows about it. But that was kind of the thing. It's direct questions who's this Ray Epps, and they show the video. What is this guy doing? And it's is this an agent? They're like, no, we don't know. We can't discuss that. And it's just and that's all. But the thing is, nothing happens to them when they lie. That's the part that's really frustrating to me. All this political theater. Every time Rand Paul is yelling at Fauci or whatever happens, nothing happens when they're proven to be liars. Nothing happens. And that's the part we're not holding. That's where where it falls apart. It's not the fact that people who are on our side in Congress or House of Representatives, whatever it may be, is holding them. It's just there's no consequence for the deep state. And then it's up to us as the people. How do we hold them accountable? How do we hold the deep state accountable? That's the question. Because
there's no way to. How do you do it? The only way, and someone was saying oh, you guys think you're going to beat the government? Why? Well, here's the thing.
I never said that.
And Kennedy talked about this before he was assassinated. That only an informed populace can make the decisions about what needs to happen with our government and put people in place and power so that they can put things right. And the waters are so muddied. Who do you pick? And the only people they're going to put in front of you to pick from are the ones that they have,
Right. And it's always the thing is always
let me get to super chats real quick.
Sorry.
We're way behind on super chats.
Sorry.
Evan G. Starman. Wait, I just skipped that one. HBO Matt says, "Want me to take you on cop watching this summer, Honda?" I thought about doing what is it called, where you just you get the fucking police scanner radio, and every time there's report of a homicide or whatever, you just show up at the scene and fucking record whatever you can. Tim Pool used to do that in Chicago. I forget what it's called. I was thinking about starting doing that.
If it bleeds, it leads.
It's pretty fucking dangerous work, though, too, because you're just going to places where people just got shot, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, in Denver, it's been happening enough where on like a Saturday night, you might be able to get 2 or 3 calls, 4 calls.
30 random homicides in Aurora alone this month.
Yeah, so there's one a night in Aurora, and that's just one city in the metro area.
Yeah.
FNG Starvin says, "Good evening. Do you know what's going on with Never Enough Ammo?" Unfortunately, not.
The aliens came and they took his butthole, and now he's in the hospital.
He went Travis Walton on us.
I assume that he's okay, but only because I don't want to speculate too much, because I don't really know what's going on, and it's strange that he hasn't been checking in even with us, even not online, which, I'm not going to say that I'm not worried about it, but I just don't know what's going on, and I don't want to think the worst. You know what I mean? But
I just hope it wasn't the Ted Kaczynski jokes. That's actually. I
mean, I would like to think he's just dealing with some family stuff or whatever and needed some time. That's what I'm going to go with, and that's what I think probably is going on. I don't know again, so.
Or man cold. Let's hope for the best. It's just man cold. Like he just wants to lay in bed, watch Netflix, and get better.
And Daniel says you should do an entire chat in Aboriginal Australian.
Like the didgeridoo music.
No, did you see that video where there was like the Australian health official, and then there was like the Aboriginal woman, and she was like, and the guy was like, "You need to get the COVID shot to protect yourself from the virus," and then she's like, "You're gonna need to get a shot for the people, so they can get the protection from the virus." Well, she said the same thing. It's just a little bit different. If you understood her, you'd probably understand the dude. I don't know why you're translating.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It's like in the movie Airplane. Does anyone speak jive?
I speak jive. No, wild turkey. How you fly, mama?
Oh, sorry. Oh my god. You made me snort rare, I think.
Night crawling, that's what it's called, where you go and you show up at the fucking crime scenes. Yeah, I thought about being a night crawler. Just on like a night where I don't have the kids and I don't have to work randomly or whatever. I got a car, I got a phone.
I think if we don't go hunting sang together, we are stupid. Even if we only found like 2 pounds.
Well, ginseng, so where's that at, though? That's in, the Appalachian region, right?
That's in West Virginia, where you can dig it without a license.
It's in Oklahoma, too, but I'm sure people shoot at you for it.
Yeah. No, I was just because I'm going squatching. I signed up for this 1 week squatching type thing, so.
I still say we need to go sang and squatch hunting at the same time, film it, and put it on YouTube. It'll be great.
So I watched Small Arms Solutions, and I think somebody in the chat last week mentioned it about he made a Sasquatch hunting rifle. But the thing is, so it's you need more of a pistol, to make sure it's a Squatch, But what pistol caliber, and not a 50 cal Desert Eagle, I
like 12 gauge slugs for Bigfoot.
So in Oklahoma, you need to have a permit.
I bet we can get it pretty easy.
There's a limit harvest on each permit.
Well, what the government knows and doesn't know, Honda. Doesn't need to hurt them.
What about shrooming? Going
so
whatever.
What we need to do is go to wherever it is in Oklahoma or whatever, and dig a fuck ton of ginseng, all illegal,
and
in
then
the middle
take
of
it
the
to
night.
West Virginia.
And then we'll sell it in West Virginia because they'll be like, yeah, we dug it around the hills down there, a couple hollers over.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's like when Kramer took the mail truck of empty bottles to Michigan to get the higher rebate rate for the recycling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're just driving our thing in, from out of town, man.
No,
but don't tell nobody about that.
We get the saying from places, you know.
Actually, one time I got chased off a illegal grow operation when I was doing a section hike on the CDT trail.
Well, man, you can't be coming on my weed farm, man. I'm gonna have to shoot you full of lead if you do that again. Don't make that mistake. Don't you tell nobody about this neither.
Yeah, I know this guy. Yeah, he has his little jank ass Mac 10 or whatever, like that right at it hit the dirt and the rock and the trees, like probably about 20 feet in front of me. I was just like, dude, I'm just hiking, man.
I was sitting at a gun show when I was a teenager, and I was sitting next to this old World War II vet that always sold guns next to my grandfather. His name was Charlie. He's just sitting there, and all of a sudden he looks over at me and goes, "I grow weed." What? He's like,
all right, here's that Aboriginal thing I was talking about.
He said, "I grow weed for the cartel." Great.
And the young message is a very important one to keep everybody safe one.
You can die from the corona or get really sick.
People can pass away from this corona, or people can get really sick one.
Are they just all stupid?
What's that?
Are they just all stupid?
We should look something up that probably YouTube wouldn't like.
Yeah.
You get really sick.
I'm sorry. Like, I just call them as I see them, and like they're just translating it into retard or something.
It's totally.
I'm sorry. It's not like, a language.
It's totally the scene from Airplane.
It is.
Oh my god. I love it because the best part was it was Leave It to Beaver's mom.
Yeah.
That was the best.
I'll just highlight this part right here. This is an average. This does not mean that all of them are this score.
God damn.
However, that is the average score.
And to be honest, it's like because you have an isolated small gene pool, that stuff happens. Like, I mean, that's a medical fact. Even like with remember the hillbillies inbreeding, where that stigma comes from. Let's just use that because that's a safe thing to talk about of this, right? So, hillbilly inbreeding, like if you see that, like the IQ points massively diminished. And what was those two brothers that had the really big ears? They had like severe facial deformities because of the excessive inbreeding, but their IQ was in the 50s, and one of them was in the high 40s.
I'm just shocked that it's that low. Like that.
Yeah, like Forrest Gump was higher than that.
Yeah, Forrest Gump was like 80.
Yeah, he was 79.
Here's my question: how did he get actually drafted into Vietnam when the U.S. government for several years has said you have to have it at least be 85 or higher?
Back in the Vietnam War, they didn't have that.
No, they got rid of it for a while, is what they did.
Well,
if you could pass the test or whatever to get in, which was super easy, then they'd let you in.
Yeah, because I thought he had to have
He actually volunteered.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did. He did volunteer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After college,
in order to go to Vietnam as a single child like that, he would have had to have volunteered.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the whole point behind Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Ryan's privates.
I thought it was shaving.
Different
video.
I got a little wigged out with shaving, manscaping.
I am a fan, but
no, it's just I don't know, small interlocking bladed teeth.
Like a zipper?
Yes,
well,
exactly.
You don't use things like. I'm not going to go there. There are better ways to remove hair from that area than what you are describing.
Okay, wait, is it like that? Like what I see in the front of some videos that are sponsored, it's like the manscaping thing that's really gentle and you can shave anywhere, super sensitive.
I don't know. I use god awful products meant for women, so.
Okay.
I think you're talking about Nair.
Okay.
Which just chemically eats away the roots of your. Jesus
yeah.
Christ. I can't imagine that's very comfortable.
That seems kind of burny to me.
About little metal teeth.
I'm sure there's no side effects or anything else too. I'm sure it's just acid, right? That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, it would have
kind
to be
of acid that does a certain thing or whatever. I don't even know what it is actually.
It is like a chemical peel for your whole body. It's kind of nice.
Like a loofah? Just removes everything.
You feel like your hands feel like wet. I don't know how to describe it. Like you feel like a brand new baby or something. Like you're just born.
Like a seal? Like a sea lion? Like you're just, like a dolphin?
You're smooth all over like a dolphin. Yes.
Romans 2,000 years ago. Africans today. Jesus.
When you don't have an incentive to push you to, civilization to advance, it's,
Well, and then here's the other problem,
stagnation
in my
happens.
opinion, with what's going on in countries in Africa and like certain places in South America, countries that seem like they can't get out of the third world no matter what they do, right? And it's twofold. Number one, we keep shipping them a bunch of food, and it's humanitarian, right? These people are hungry, they're starving. We have plenty of food. We should give them some food so that they can eat, right? But the thing is, then the local farmers are outcompeted by free because they can't compete with free. So a lot of them go out of business and then stop producing food. And then the population grows because they're being fed for free, and like they can have more kids because they've got food coming in, and they can count on the UN or whoever bringing their monthly shipment in, and they can just survive for a month off of that. Then they're good, right?
The places in Africa that are getting the free food, the farms aren't producing food anymore is the issue.
Right. So that's half of the issue. And then the other half of the issue is, let's say you're from one of these sub-Saharan African wherever countries that isn't great right now, right? And you're smart, and you prove that you're smart, and you learn things, and you can learn a different language, and you learn English, and what's the first thing you do?
You go somewhere else.
Get the fuck out and leave that country one smart person less, right? If the people who were smart stayed in those countries and like did everything they could with their intelligence and were given authority based upon that fact to do things in the country and whatever, then those countries would slowly get better. And they would have kids, and they would have kids who survived at a higher rate, making the population's IQ generally trend upwards instead of downwards, which is what's happening. So it's a twofold problem.
Oh, absolutely. I had a friend.
And it's both caused by us. It's both caused by people wanting to be humanitarian, by being like, oh, there's hungry people. We want to do something to help them. Let's feed them. Oh, you made the problem worse. Well, they're living in a really crappy country, and they're really smart. We should let them get out. Well, then you made the problem worse. Like both sides of it, by being fucking altruistic on the front end, you've been fucking very destructive on the back end.
Well, and you also forgot about the people that are coming here, like, to the West, whether it be the United States or England or mainland Europe. It's not even like these young little kids or like these, these poor women or anything like that. It's fighting age men. Okay. For the most part, it's fighting age men, and then they'll bring their families later on. But that's the other thing. It's like, so it's people who have the most, I guess you say, in that kind of type of that part of the world or that region or that like culture, have the most power, and they leave, to make a change, to make a difference. It's easier to run away to someplace and live easy than it is to actually improve where you're at.
That much energy this late at night.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, you.
I have a lot of energy. Yeah. I mean, I did go snowshoeing today for about 10 miles, so I did do that. I don't know. Genetics? I meant to live in like the Ice Age.
I was hoping for cocaine is the answer.
Cocaine's another drug. No.
Hold on again, real quick. Rob Feeding says $100 super chat, and Honda puts Nair on his boys.
Yeah, but you have to film it. You have to film it though. You have to film it for like an OnlyFans exclusive.
To film it, there's no price, and to just do it and tell you about it, we're talking 10 times that amount. I'm sorry.
It's not that bad. It burns for a couple hours.
Yeah, a couple hours on no.
Dude, I flip out like when I get shampoo down my urethra, okay?
And I've got a narrow urethra.
So to go back to the African thing,
burning for a few hours.
What was that about the African thing?
So to go back to the African thing, my cousin has actually been a missionary in Africa for over 20 years right now. And a lot of my cousins, who would be second cousins to me now, were actually born over there. I don't know if you know what Burkina Faso is. It's an African nation there.
Oh,
it was this past week.
Turned over by fucking violence and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, their president was overthrown this week. Thank God my family is all in the States right now because of that, because they probably would have been fucking killed immediately on that one. But yeah, he was discussing with me a bunch of different things about Africa and being missionaries and stuff over there. And a lot of their issues actually is clean water specifically. And a lot of things they've done over there was actually take equipment and make wells for these people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would end up, because obviously over there, it's, I don't know if you want to call it like witch doctors or whatever, but it's basically like the tribal shaman guys or whatever. There would be these little kids that would have basically distended stomachs, and they would like basically be like, oh, we just need the boys and girls to be clean and stuff like that. And then as soon as they got them these wells that were actually producing clean water, the kids are fine now.
It's funny, like, what did the Europeans do about that very same problem? Even though they didn't know about microbiology or like all the different technology that we have today to purify water, what did they do?
Dug wells and got clean water.
No.
Well, they put alcohol in it.
They made beer. Yeah, exactly.
And that's why we have today the lovely IPA, because the beer lasted the longest from England to wherever the far reaches of the empire were. What I did want to ask you though about your cousins and everything that were there. Like, so my experience, I had a lot of friends that also did mission work and stuff like that, or who did TFL, I should say, in Africa. They would go over, to Africa and teach English while I was in Russia teaching English. So the thing is, though, what they were telling me though is like a lot of these charity organizations, like Christian Children's Charity and stuff like that. The Sally Struthers thing. Like they would get these supplies, and you end up seeing in the bazaar people selling the donated items in bazaars, and that's how they were making money. Like they weren't even like there's not a shoe company in Ghana because they get shipped like all these shoes from like everybody from all the Western developed nations that make shoes, right? So there's no they basically have an oversurplus in some areas. I'm not saying this specific country where your family was in, but don't you? I mean, because it's in a way it's holding them back because they don't have to develop something, or there's no local impetus to make something because they get I don't know if you wanted if you knew anything about that or want to address that with your family's experience. Sorry.
Yeah, as far he's never actually had those conversations with me. Actually, interestingly enough, when he started out missionary work, they were over on the Ivory Coast, and he said that's the one place I'll never go back to now. And it's because there's so much of people there all the time, where it's like rebellion after rebellion after rebellion. He was actually there, and this is before a lot of my cousins were born too, by the way, because the oldest one's only like 18 or 19 right now. So this is like 20 plus years ago. He was talking about how there was a rebellion going on there at the time to overthrow their current dictator leadership guy or whatever. And he was talking about how it was him and one of the other missionary people, and then I think it was their translator driver dude that they had there, were driving to go get gas and stuff for a few vehicles because knew it was coming. And they had there was a bunch of people that had a makeshift roadblock, probably about 30, 40 strong, and they were trying to yank him out of the car and beat him to death. And if it wasn't for a couple soldiers coming in there with AKs and being like, you back the fuck up off these people right now, he wouldn't be alive today.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of, I've had a little bit of a similar experience, but that was in Azerbaijan, on the southern Georgian peninsula. That's as close as I've gotten to something like that happening. But my question though is when you look at that culture that's doing that to happen to almost killed your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is though, a plane ride is really short, right? It's boom, within 24 hours you're in a completely different part of the world. So no one really addresses this. I mean, when people do address this, they're kind of villainized for it. But do you think though, the lack of assimilation, or people who come here, they still come from that culture, and like kind of like it's it's a far more brutal culture. It's just what it is. It's not even a racial thing. It's just a brutal culture, like far more brutal culture. I mean, doesn't that something that needs to be addressed? I mean, what is your feeling on that? I guess I should ask.
I feel like it should be. And actually, here's another interesting story. One of my cousins, the woman that he's with right now, her family is actually from Nicaragua originally. And she specifically said, because I was talking to her one day about like communism and socialism and how these people come here and they're trying to push that shit on us now. And she specifically said in Nicaragua and a lot of those other South America or Central American countries, if you do not fall under communism, you will not work in these nations at all.
Well, I mean, it's just another form of slavery, right? They want complete control over people's lives because then they can control every bit of output and know what's coming and control all the factors and, get that much more power and profit or whatever they're looking for. And that's the whole point, in my opinion, of what's been happening for the past 2 years and how that's starting to fail now, I believe. I mean, look at what's going on in Canada and Australia with people fighting back against these mandates. Like, people aren't standing for it. And, like, people keep talking about, like, well, why isn't America standing up against it? It's like, well, our government knows better than to fucking try some of this shit in the first place. And if they did, they would find out. And in places like New York City, in spite of the fact that they're heavily leftist and heavily fucking Democrat and all that shit, they're implementing this stuff there, and they're getting plenty of pushback. And that's in the places where you would think they would get the least pushback. You know what I mean? In the places they already control. So I think this is a wake-up call to them to say, like, hey, we don't have the fucking complete control of society that we thought we did. We don't have the ability to affect people in every single way like we thought we did. We have to go back to the drawing board. We have to figure out a new, whatever it is they're going to do. But maybe this plan gets abandoned for now and they move on to the next phase. I don't know.
I think one of the things that the boomers that run the world don't fully understand is the young people. Because there's like a shitload of people, like millennials and younger, that are like hopeless, living in the end of the world. Like, I don't know where they go from here.
Well, they don't have a future, and they know it. They know that no matter what they do, they're not going to have enough money to buy a house. No matter what education they get, they're not going to get the job that they want.
I was headed to a point. My point of that was, where the fuck do they think those people are going to go? Like, if they keep pushing them and pushing them and pushing them, if you have nothing to lose, like, it's going to bring shit to a head eventually.
In a way, it has.
Maybe that is the next phase of the plan. Like, maybe they're trying to implode the whole system and they use them as bantha fodder,
Well, like, I mean, I would say it actually kind of already has, Ray. We just haven't seen the effects of it because at an all-time low in the West, people who are naturally, are at the lowest replacement birth rates in our culture, from our culture. We have to import to boost our numbers, right? That's what this whole immigration debate is around. And it's kind of scary.
Well, they manipulated the people to that point, though, where we're at right now with the replacement rate being down so far as it is. There were like little things that they did, like breaking apart the family and pushing out monogamy and like doing all these different things that made the birth rate of people go down to the point where we need replacement. It's almost like it was a plan.
Absolutely, it was, and it really was, and especially if depending how deep down the conspiracy rabbit hole you want to go, there's certain things that start with a K. There's a certain plan that actually is to implement, basically destroy the West and create a new serfdom class without, like, just smart enough and grateful enough to willing to work for slave wages, like a new fiefdom, if you will. Because, like, if you look at, and this is going back to the Africa thing, I actually had a friend of mine who I was chatting with on last Sunday from Ukraine. She was asking me, though, why the U.S. does what Bosnia and Serbia did in the 90s. Like, what we're doing to ourselves, or we're allowing our government to do to ourselves, is actually import people who hate or who are incompatible culturally, right? The whole Bosnia, Serbia, Chechnya thing that happened in the 90s. They're like, why did you guys do that in Minnesota? And then why are they, she was legitimately asking questions, and I try to explain, it's like, look, these are like, puppet masters far above even the people who are elected, controlling that. But like, it's very interesting though. It's just like something that you put in two incompatible cultures, so they're actually fighting each other. Look at Dearborn, Michigan, right? You know, what happens then is just like you have the lower class fighting amongst themselves and the upper class because they're so distracted by like 10 different major things as well. The people who are looking up and looking below. It's like it's the ultimate shell game. It's not just 3 shells. You have 50 shells you have to worry about. You have to worry about like what's going on in your own local community, you know, what's happening in your own family, what's happening then socio-politically, what's happening in the schools, what's happening with the CDC and you know, then you're having, you know, dealing with politics. And so
well,
then
the problem is that people don't want to face this shit. The problem is that it's ugly to look at. The problem is, if you start thinking about it a lot, it kind of leaves you disturbed and with a bad feeling in your stomach and all of this other stuff. And it's just as easy, if not even easier, to stick your head in the sand, be content with the things that you have that are good, and not think about these bad things that are probably going to be inevitabilities that happen in the future, because it might not, and you're just going to be wasting your time. And you can fucking justify sticking your head in the sand in a million different ways. And there's enough people in this country with their heads in the sand that they're just never going to get their head out of the sand, dude, until it's too late.
And also, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I kind of see it as like I'm with the fucking Antifa teenagers that don't think they have a future. Like, I don't see a future for any of us, really. So, like, why fucking even bother? Like, there's part of this that, like, if you have kids, then that's a whole different thing. But, like, it just every fucking year I lose something that I love. And it gets worse. And at what point is enough with that shit?
And here's the thing.
Wait, hold on. Daniel says, I'll drop the 100 right now if you agree, Honda. No. If 8 more people, including the first person, do it, then yes, I will consider it.
He has a price. 900.
You should probably try it somewhere other than that first, because some people are like allergic and have horrible reactions.
Good call. Daniel says, Stefan Molyneux's story of enslavement tells you everything. And I won't go into it, but if you guys don't know who Stefan Molyneux is, I would highly recommend ignoring the fucking Wikipedia page that's going to tell you all the shit that you know, all that stuff, and going to the source and hearing what he actually has to say. Unfortunately, he's another voice who's not on YouTube anymore. Another person that I have to go to another site in order to see. And I think he's on BitChute. I don't know where else.
And the thing is that if you're really interested, his Fall of Rome is probably kind of what we've been circling around a little bit. I think that's a really good one to watch. The Fall of Rome
was, dude.
That was
is
amazing.
Probably his number one video, in my opinion, as far as the amount of work and information and connections and parallels to what's going on in our current situation in the 21st century. Is Fall of Rome, and Stefan Molyneux really, really does a excellent job breaking it down and drawing those lines.
And the thing was, it's not as academic or boring as it may come across to like just hearing the title. It's so applicable. It's so interesting. It's far better than what Mary Beard, who's by the mainstream considered the best Roman quote unquote historian. She's just a shill for the globalists, man. But Molyneux, what he did and how it parallels to our society and to the West and Western culture is genius.
Our entire society is based off of Rome, so.
Well, yeah, absolutely it is. And I mean, you have that, and obviously Thomas Paine, John Locke, you know, during the Enlightenment that influenced our founders. Like Jefferson was like, hey, I like what this Thomas Paine and John Locke guys say. I was going to say,
good luck finding Stefan Molyneux's actual shit on YouTube. You can find a couple videos with like him in it on someone else's stuff where he did an interview or whatever. But if you actually want to find his stuff, you have to go to BitChute and actually look at it.
Roman-style republics really only end one way, and that's with an emperor. And I would put it to you that I think we have an emperor right now, and it's whoever is fucking really pulling the strings behind everything. I don't know if it's one person or 12 people.
It's not Soros.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's
Soros is a pawn. Soros, not a pawn. He's more like like a bishop or a rook or a knight.
There's a group of people somewhere that are running shit that are basically an emperor right now.
But there's someone behind Soros who's the king.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely there is. I would say though he's the public figurehead. Let's put it that way. There's still a puppet master behind the puppet. You
need it's a fucking complicated thing, right? Like I was trying to like visualize what it looks like and like the different connections that need to happen, and basically like you have that power which is based in generational wealth, money, fucking influence because of that in banking and in finance and in real estate and in all kinds. It's got fingers in all kinds of pots, right? But they want more power because they can make money having fingers in pots. But if they control the fucking regulations, then they can make even more. So then they start reaching out to the fucking people in power, to the ones they can reach to, right? So that's the other echelon of people, or the ones who make the decisions who we're mad at for fucking selling us out. But they're the second echelon. And then beyond that, there's the media who covers for them, who gets people on board with the things that they wouldn't get on board with otherwise, who covers for the fucking people making these decisions and doing these things in the second echelon, the government underneath them, right? And then on the outside of that, you have the enforcement mechanisms, like you have the law enforcement, and you have the fucking FBI and CIA or MI6 or whoever it is that are like working to actually control the people. And then that is interconnected with the other levels, right?
Like Majestic 12 and stuff, yeah.
So like that outer layer is actually connected to the inner layers, and then also vice versa, because it's like a pineapple or an onion or something.
He just mentioned the Majestic 12, which I think is interesting because like that is an alien thing, but like where do you think they got those 12 people?
They
had a short list, right?
Yeah, so they were pretty much like what
they were industrialists and shit.
Yeah, exactly. The military-industrial complex, which Eisenhower warned us against as soon as he left office. It's those assholes.
I wonder how many of those people are Freemasons.
All of them. Okay, so going back to what Honda was saying, the rings within rings. So there's a visual graphic. I'll have to send it to you, Honda. But like, there's a visual graphic that shows like the Bilderberg group, right? And then you have the Rothschilds, and then you have the Masons, and they're like, so basically you have like, for example, let's just say the Bloomberg group, right? Gun control people. You think of Bloomberg and Shannon Watts, but there's all the people who work for the organization. So there's like 3 people in the leadership that work for the organization that they don't know about work for another group, right? They'll work for the Bloomberg group, right? And then there's people in that group. There's not those same exact 3 people. They're they may be part of the Masons, whatever. They're on that leadership board. It's like all these so they're not just working at one, but you have like basically kind of like a sleeper agent each ring as it goes deeper and deeper in.
The reason I was bringing up the Freemasons is there are 12 people in the Majestic 12, right? Well, what else were there 12 people in? Like the Knights Templars ruling council was 12 people.
So here are the alleged original MJ12 members. You got Lloyd Berkner, who's an American physicist and engineer, inventor, measuring device, blah 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 blah. You got Detlev Wolf-Bronk, was a prominent American scientist, educator, and administrator. He was credited with establishing the biophysicist as recognition of discipline. So he founded biophysics.
Wasn't he part of Project Paperclip? Was he originally? Yeah.
We have Vander Bush, was an American engineer, inventor, and science administrator who was the World War II head of the U.S. Office of Scientific Research and Development, OSRD, through which most of the wartime military research and development was carried out. So that would have been...
that's the head of DARPA from World War II.
Yep. You got James Forrestal, last cabinet level United States Secretary of the Navy, was the first United States Secretary of Defense. We've got Gordon Gray, was an American attorney and governmental official during the administration of Harry Truman, Dwight Eisenhower, and associated with the Defense of National Security. Roscoe, how do you say that? Roscoe?
Roscoe?
Roscoe? Okay. Roscoe Henry Hillenkottner was the 3rd director of the post-World War II United States Central Intelligence Group. the third director of the Central Intelligence, the first director of the Central Intelligence Agency created by the National Security Act of 1947.
That was the biggest mistake we ever made, by the way.
So, like, if you're seeing like a theme to these people, though, basically, my theory of these people is that maybe they don't run things, but these are serious positions of power that are not inherited by blood. They're appointed somehow to these positions, that they're on this group of people. Maybe it's not even 12 people anymore. Who knows how many people it is?
We got Jerome Clark Hansker was the first American naval officer and aeronautical engineer born in whatever Iowa, was educated U.S. Naval Academy and Massachusetts Institute of Technology, worked with the Gastow Eiffel outside Paris, led to the first wind tunnel, The
funny part is, if you want to know more about the Majestic 12, the people who've done the most research on it are the alien people.
It's true.
Yep.
It's true. No, honestly, like, as much as you want to, like, wag your finger at those people and say, like, oh, they're crazy because they believe in aliens, there are certain individuals within that community who have done their due diligence and will fucking show you. So,
and have deep knowledge of like secret shit, like, and proof of it on some cases. Like,
John
all
Lear.
of this stuff came from them.
John Lear has been, like, honestly, we wouldn't even be where we are today. We probably wouldn't even be able to look this up on Wikipedia if it wasn't for John Lear. He's been the one, like, because he worked in the CIA, he flew like spy planes during the Cold War, and he's the one that leaked Lazar and also Phil Schneider and a bunch of other stuff.
Lear jets?
He's the son of the Learjet guy, yeah. But yeah, so John Lear, he's an old. I think he's still with us, but he's really old now. But he flew the SR-71 spy plane in the '60s and stuff like that before it was public knowledge.
We got Donald Howard Menzel was one of the first theoretical astronomers and astrophysicists in the United States. He discovered the physical properties of the solar chromosphere, and the chemistry of stars, the atmosphere of Mars, and the nature of gaseous nebula. Again, serious scientist. Mm-hmm. Robert Miller Montague was the Lieutenant General of the United States Army. He achieved prominence as the duty commander of Fort Bliss, Texas, the commander of the Sandia Missile Base in New Mexico during the start of the modern UFOlogy, was the head of U.S. Caribbean something or other. Trails off. Can't read it. Sidney Source was an American admiral and intelligence expert. That's all we know about him. Nathan Twining, United States Air Force general, born in Monroe, Wisconsin, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, 1953 to 1957, third chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, 1957 to 1960, first member of the United States Air Force to serve as, cuts off. And Hoyt Vanderberg, first United States Air Force general. He served as second chief of staff in the Air Force, second director of Central Intelligence. So he was the first general of the Air Force and the second director of Central Intelligence. Again, serious people. Crazy secrecy. What's going on? They're still not telling us.
Man,
the
thing that gets to me about this is 1947, a lot of shit happened. Like, they created the CIA and Roswell happened. And, like, when was the Air Force actually made? It was in there. Like, I don't know if it was 47 exactly, but it was in that time frame. Like, if you were going to create a secret spacecraft program of some sort, making the Air Force would make sense.
Yeah, and here, I don't know when the birth date of the Air Force is, sorry. But yeah,
it was
I know
sometime after World War I, sometime before World War II, wasn't it?
No,
did they have Air
it was
Force
after
by World War II?
It was after World War II.
Okay, maybe not. I guess I don't know.
The Army Air Corps preceded it.
Yeah, because it was like it splintered off from the Army, and then Space Force splintered off from Air Force. So that's kind of how it is now. But
my question is, are they just now making Space Force because they're about to go public with some crazy shit? In 1947, exactly. Wow.
Oh.
A lot of weird shit happened in 1947.
Yeah. Roswell. Yeah. That, that was 49 though, but yeah, it's
Roswell
the
was
CIA.
47.
Oh, it was 47? I thought it was. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because the anniversary, the book that lied about that said it was actually a, what do you call it, a dummy in a hot air, yeah, a Mylar balloon. Yeah, they were testing like halo jumps or something like that, allegedly from like weather balloons.
I don't know what exactly crashed at fucking Roswell, but they did not tell the truth about it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what it was? It was in that documentary Deep Space Nine when the Ferengi crashed on Earth back in time. That's all it was.
Yeah. Universal Translate is broken. I think though, like, especially with the CIA though, like, my question is though, to the quote unquote
July
greatest
8th, 1947.
Wow. Huh. Interesting.
And when was this? September 18th.
Intriguing.
So 2 months later, they're like, "We need an Air Force."
That's my point. This seems like a convenient string of events in 1947.
It's just a coincidence. It was just a balloon. I swear.
You know, guys, we might want to start taking aircraft more seriously.
That's some serious shit, Marty.
When was the on something there? I don't know.
When was the thing where all the UFOs showed up in DC? That was.
Oh, that was like, was it Nixon in office for that, or was that JFK?
No, it was. I think Eisenhower. Maybe it was like
1952.
52. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm thinking the Nixon one for some reason. I know there's one of Nixon because it's a colored photo.
Question, have you ever heard about this at all? Like they just kind of show up and like hovered there.
Yeah.
My thing is, what if they weren't aliens? What if these are CIA-run craft made of God knows fucking what, and this was them going, "We're in charge now." You know,
and then as Eisenhower leaves office, he's like, "Watch out for the military-industrial complex. Watch out."
It's very interesting.
What about
There's some crazy images of this shit too, though.
What about the giant pyramid that's taken from several different videos that was hovering over DC and Moscow? The pyramid.
I believe this is a real photo if it pulls up. Oh my god! Well, not on a fucking handbag. Like
That's
this
what I'm talking
photo,
about,
I think, is real.
Like,
I think.
Why would aliens do that?
Well, what about Phoenix Lights though? Like, I mean,
it seems like that's an intimidation tactic, though, that like had a point and purpose that maybe we don't fully understand.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Go. Here's a real photo. 1952, Washington, D.C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17 of them. Possibly 18, possibly 19. Can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Flying over D.C., flying over the Capitol. What's known about it? Still don't know.
Well, in the even
with
like
swamp gas or something.
Project Blue Book just said it was ball lightning. I think on that occasion, right?
It was ball lightning that hovered around the Capitol for what 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, just like it was quote unquote signal flares that were able to operate on their own and do complex maneuvers for the Phoenix Lights in 1997.
All right, here's where you got to go if you want to hunt for ginseng. Any of these states here, including Canada up there, you got some ginseng. Good singing in Canada.
I know what we should do, Honda. Let's go to Canada and get a bunch of sang and then run it across the border and sell it in Virginia.
Hey, Honda, look at that map. It stops directly at our state. It's just like, nope.
Ain't no sang in Colorado or Texas.
I don't think there's very much in Kansas, Nebraska, or fucking South Dakota either.
What, you're telling me it doesn't grow in like desert or high altitude alpine like desert biomes? Oh man, shocker.
It likes really low mountains for some reason.
Yeah, well, and moisture. I think that's like the other thing because we live in a high altitude desert. So
see, this is what you want right here. You want one of them 4 prongs with the berries in the middle.
I'm just like, my only concern is getting like, running into like a bunch of meth head hillbillies who have a little grow operation out in the middle of, West Virginia or Tennessee.
This is why Honda.
Like, what you have to worry about is the people who know that you're out there hunting ginseng and they're going to rob you of your sing.
This is why we go as a team, Honda, and we have Duke watching our back, stone cold sober, while we get blitzed out of our mind to go hunt ginseng.
Well, it seems like one of three things happens, right? You either get jacked while you're out in the forest fucking digging for it because they find you. They find your car while you're off digging for it and fuck your car up, right? So you get back to your car and now it doesn't work, or it's towed away or fucked up and gone or whatever. Or they follow you from the place where you sell the ginseng to find out where you're digging it so that they can jack you next time. Mm-hmm. So you got to be careful when you're like going to and from. You got to have someone protecting your car while you're not there and you're out digging. And you got to watch your back while you're in the woods there digging for that saying.
And it's not just watching for people either. I'm not like as trail cams. They set up trail cams, even on public land. I've run into that a few times. You're like, oh, I don't know if it's a hunter or if it's somebody who's trying to monitor if I go deeper into the woods, if it's going to be a grow operation. I don't know. So
it's gold growing in the dirt there, man. The golden potatoes.
Golden potatoes. I'm actually kind of shocked though if it's a moisture based. Like Maine would be like, I'd feel a lot more safe doing it in someplace like Maine.
It's regulated in every state except for West Virginia. So every other state, like you can dig up ginseng if you get a fucking license or whatever. It's like a fishing license basically is what you get.
Okay.
But they limit you to like a pound or two or whatever it is. So you can't dig more than that, which means that's the maximum amount of money that you're going to make off of it is that 2 pounds legally or whatever. And anything that you dig beyond that is punishable by law. I think the one dude was from Arkansas and he was talking about it. It's $5,000 fine and 5 months in jail for digging ginseng.
Oh man.
It's like, nope.
It's kind of like the closest equivalent I can think is like in Colorado you can buy a permit for paleontology in certain areas like Black Canyon. You know, like you can go in there and like if you know paleontology enough, you can go below the K2 layer. You could find some really cool mollusks or shark tooth or even some flagstone that has like fish fossils. But yeah, you could just buy a permit for like, hey, I'm just gonna go dig around in these certain areas. So it's actually kind of cool. You can find some cool fossils. That's where I got half of mine from.
Daniel says, I'm a lord on the moon and in Scotland with my 1 square foot of land, so I feel like I'm in the New World War. I feel like you paid some money to some Scottish people for a piece of paper that says you own a square foot. It's not. I mean, can you do anything with that square foot?
You can go stand on it.
I don't think you can stand on it. Don't they grow it?
How would you know that was yours, though?
I want to see my square foot, goddammit.
Take me to my foot of land.
This is my square foot.
This is a castle, and we have many tapestries. But if you are Scottish law, then I am Mickey Mouse.
How dare he?
Hey, let me tell you. Hey, I got a wee bit of land there. It's a wee bit. Hey, what's the size of a wee bit? Hey, it's a wee bit.
Jesus. Daniel says it was probably the Germans. Naz didn't die out and just adapted to took over. That was hard to read.
Daniel, I agree. We never had a U.S. space program. We had a German space program.
Well, there was this thing called Project Paperclip. How many Nazi scientists did we fold into our government post World War II? Wasn't it like 300 or something?
I think
officially,
the first batch was like 200 or 300, but in the program's entirety, it was like 3,000 or 4,000 people.
Yeah,
that's a lot, dude.
Yep.
That's why you always see like the German guy, and then your grandpa's like, "What did you do during the war?"
Yeah.
Grandpa fucking knew, man.
Yeah.
I shoveled shit in Louisiana.
Yeah. The funny thing though, this actually relates to what they did in World War II. I have some family members that were actually in the internment camp because everyone talks about the Japanese internment camp, but they also did that to Germans, but that's never mentioned on History Channel for some reason. Yeah,
Germans aren't people.
Yeah, apparently, I guess the oppression Olympics are like super at the bottom. But yeah, I had
For
some
some
family.
reason.
Yeah, I had some family members that were in internment camps only because they were first generation. So their parents fled Germany because of World War One, right? And they came to America, and then their kid, all of a sudden, because they're first generation German, were put into an internment camp. So
Man, I'm just saying, if you
They
really
did it to
want
the
to do the world
Italians
a
too.
favor,
I don't know if they did that to Italians or not. Like, that's the thing. Like, I know, like, I just know it because of family history, and that if you look it up, you can find the information on it, but it's not highly publicized. Like the Japanese, like George Takei is talking about, the Japanese internment camps, and you always see that. Like,
I remember learning about that in high school, and I specifically remember it was Mr. Aguilera and social studies, and it was Executive Order 9066, and he was very upset that kids didn't know about it already.
Yeah, and so
I don't think we should have ended the German camps. We should keep them bitches in prison.
oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Now I know how you feel about me. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Danke Shane.
Proclamation 2527, the internment of Italian Americans.
Okay.
See, I think it's funny how we're all yay pro-freedom until we have a little bit of adversity, and then we're willing to fucking lock people in cages.
So in New York City, where both foreign and American-born Italians made up approximately 18% of the city's population, the Berzini family witnessed an event like, whatever, this is way too long. I don't want to read all that. I don't think I'm capable of reading all that out loud.
So yes, they interned Italians.
Okay, so pretty much like all the acts, but why do you only hear about the Japanese? Well, I know why, but like, yeah, it's a little frustrating.
They also got the bomb twice.
Yeah, that's true.
We nuked the masculinity out of the Japanese.
Weren't there fucking Japanese soldiers still fighting like 10 years or some shit after the war ended?
There was a dude they found on an island that was like 20 or 30 years later that has still not surrendered.
That actually reminds me, there was a family that escaped during the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, and it's kind of well documented in Honda if you want to look it up since you're Googling. They escaped, and they lived in the middle of nowhere, Siberia, in the woods in the Urals, and they were like completely isolated. They had no idea that World War II had ended. And
he held out in the Philippine jungle for 29 years.
That's
I want to go home. You know? Like, mom's pissed at me. The wife's a bitch. I don't want that kid. Fuck it. I'm just going to stay in this fucking jungle.
Let's stay in the jungle and keep slaying Americans.
I haven't got orders for the past 28 and a half years. I don't care. Keep going.
Yeah. He lives up to his name of hero. He is a hero.
Hero Noda.
That's hilarious, dude. Like, seriously, you don't think at some point you'd be like, fuck, maybe I should try to like find out what's going on?
Oh,
hey man, I just keep killing people in the jungle without asking any questions for 29 years.
Yeah. He has this like makeshift katana, that he forged in a cave. And,
and he was a lieutenant. He was a lieutenant, so he wasn't even like a peon who was just like, fuck, I don't know what's going on. Like, he was like, he
had to run out of ammo like decades ago.
Oh yeah, he was just using like a makeshift katana in they made in some cave. Like he made a forge and then like.
Well, no, he handed over his sword in 1974. Like he was.
He was running around the jungle with a real sword.
This guy is my hero now. Oh man, everyone should know about Hero Nada.
What do you know? What do you about the theory of the Germans, Russians thinking about splitting Ukraine under the table? Hashtag bring on the Spice Germans.
If they did that, I think we'd be at war with Germany pretty goddamn fast.
Are these the baddies?
Every world war, right? God damn it, it's always them. No, I was able to talk to a lot of my friends, fortunately, earlier this week, I should say, about what's going on. My friends who live in Donetsk and Suzhnoye, Ukraine, my friends who live in Orenburg, Skaya Oblast in Russia, where I lived, and kind of about the situation a little bit, maybe a different perspective. As far as the German thing, Ukraine has been wanting to be part of the EU since 2011. Especially they're really pushing for EU and NATO alliance in 2014 with The Winter of Fire, which is available on Netflix. If you have Netflix, please watch it. I think it's a really good documentary that actually brings a lot of light to what happened here. If you're not aware or if you forgot about it. Anyway, though, so you have ethnic Ukrainians who want to be part of mainland Europe for NATO for protection because they don't want to be part of the Russian Federation for obvious reasons. The Russian Federation feels like there's actually separatists in the western part of the Crimea, all the way to the Crimea Peninsula, that feel like, no, we're still Russian. Because
they want Ukraine for the oil. Well, they want.
Right.
Well, I think it's also that they don't want the UN on their doorstep. They want a buffer zone between a potential enemy and world power like the UN and themselves.
Exactly. Well, and also the thing is, though, there's a lot of complicated issues that go back actually even thousands of years. So it's not like America where everything is so immediate and what just happened type of thing. These are like long, big grudges. If you look at what happened on the Georgian Peninsula in the 90s, right? So the thing is that you have ethnic, because when there was a Soviet Union, there was no border, right? Ukraine was a part of the Soviet Union. There was no border between there and Kazakhstan and Russia. It was all the same thing. So then once the Soviet Union fell in the 90s, then it's just back to their own, they retreated back in. But even when I lived in Russia, my ex-fiance, she was her mom was Ukrainian, but her dad was Russian. So it's because people traveled over the border and things like that. But now how it's gone, you have people who want to hold on to the Ukrainian identity, and especially after the corruption and the influence that the Russian Federation has with the Ukrainians.
Is this Ukrainian government too? Or is this something else?
That's Crimea, isn't it? That's the Crimea.
Wait, I can't see because I'm on the small screen. Hold on, let me.
So here's Ukraine. Yeah. I'm talking this little fucking peninsula island thing.
Svestopol. Oh, Svestopol. Let's see, Krasnodar. Okay, so yeah, Rostov-on, Medical. So yeah, that's Ukraine. Yeah, Moldova.
It's in the Black Sea.
So yeah, so the thing is, they're during 2014, Russia claimed they wanted access, and then they supplied the Russian ethnic Russian people who wanted separation to go back to, hey, we're going to sanction off this piece. Actually, the Crimea is over here, so you can't see where I'm pointing, but it's so it's
this
actually
area?
right. Yeah. So there you have that, and then but it doesn't go out to, yeah. So you have Donetsk right there. You see Donetsk? That's where my friends were living, and that's part of the Crimea region. Yeah. And you have
all of that is in the Ukraine, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So as I understand it, that whole area is like a giant oil field, right?
Yeah. Yep. Ukraine.
Between that and the ports in the Black Sea, I think there's lots of. They're going to take the Ukraine.
I mean, there's a huge long heritage. You got to understand, it was only 60 years ago, 60, 70 years ago or whatever, that Stalin starved all the Ukrainians to the point of cannibalism because he took all the grain that only grew in that region for the rest of Russia. If you look at how big, 9 time zones, of how big Russia is, you understand the animosity. I mean, even their flag is actually a wheat field. That's what their flag is, why it's yellow and blue. It's a wheat field. It's blue sky and a wheat field. So, but then you have the people who are ethnically Russian separatists who live in the Crimea, who now kind of push themselves into the Crimea region, that are that Russia is go ahead and supplying with things. And it's more think of it like this. It'd be like if the Chinese started supplying, I don't know, a certain movement or, a militia, right? I don't know, pick one. And they started uprising, started shooting people in the street and things like that. That's what's been happening since 2014.
Dude, check this out. This is,
yep.
I think Russian couple selling human flesh at the market.
That's Ukrainian, actually, because well, yeah, in the Ukraine.
In the Ukraine, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So because the thing is people consider Russian and Ukrainian synonymous because they're both Slavic, but which is in a way it's true, but because at the time it's the Soviet Union, they considered all that region Russia, including Belarus, Moldova, even
that's disturbing, dude, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hope that they just give them back to the fucking Russians. I don't care.
The thing
this
is,
is what happens when people are starving to death in mass in a big group. I'm not saying that these people are right; they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right, doing this is wrong, but it's also understandable.
Yeah, because they ate all their dogs, livestock, everything. Like they ate. Then they had a result to like the dead. They're like, we need food, and there's a bunch of people dead laying on the ground, gnawing their bones. Yeah. So they have a really bloody, horrible history with Russia, and the idea of Russia takes that part of Ukraine, wants to stop them taking all of Ukraine and completely consuming Ukraine. I know the oil pipeline, the whole Russian pipeline is supposed to be so it goes to the Middle East, go through Turkey into the Middle East. So you have this pretty much now, like, since we're quote unquote we're pretty much Europe's police, right? We're the ones that are supposed to be there for Europe. Russia, that really won't stop Russia from, like, if we have weak leadership, this is what happens. In all honesty,
we're not really Europe's police, and I think that has been clearly announced by the shit that happened in Afghanistan and shit.
Well, yeah, but we were up until recently.
What happened in Afghanistan was ridiculous and a joke and terrible, and it's going to have ramifications going into the future because there's going to be jihadis with fucking Humvees and tanks and fucking helicopters now.
And then,
like, this whole fucking country right here, this whole country. And then they were like, hey, if you want to get out, just come to the airport in Kabul. It'll be great. And now we still have how many people, how many fucking soldiers, how many American citizens stranded in this fucking hellhole?
If I were in Afghanistan now, I wouldn't be going to Kabul, the fucking airport. I'd be trying to cross the border to fucking Pakistan.
Pakistan wouldn't do you much good, especially if you look Western. Like, if you were, like, you know, let's say it was like American soldiers.
It's a hell of a lot easier to get out of Pakistan than it is to get out of the Kabul airport while it's being run by the Taliban.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying, though, like, the people you encounter, though, you know what I'm trying to say, though, right?
I've been around.
I didn't realize Afghanistan touches China for, like...
Yeah.
Like, this is the border of China and Afghanistan, this little jagged thing right here.
Well, think about it, though. This is actually what's kind of frustrating me, is the fact that everyone's looking at Russia, and it's so easy to look at the Russia-Ukraine thing, and everyone's talking about it, right? Even we're talking about it. But, like, China, and I think somebody mentioned this, like, some other time on some other podcast, but it's like, you know, China and Taiwan, they're looking at Taiwan, and America's distracted by sending 8.5K troops to, you know, to Poland to boost their NATO forces. I mean, when we start, like, looking at that, and say we do get involved in a small NATO skirmish there,
8,500 troops is nothing.
I know it's nothing, but it's like, but we pulled a lot of troops back, though.
We pulled a lot of troops out of a whole bunch of fucking places when we did the Afghanistan thing and a lot of other shit for the reason that I think we're trying to play smart and we don't know exactly what's about to happen, but all the signs are on the board that something real bad is about to happen. So why not have your troops close to home?
I agree, and I think the thing is, though, like, for me, the smart strategy, in my amateur opinion, is, like, I hate to say it, as much as I, you know, love my, you know, Slavic brothers and sisters, I don't think we should get involved at all unless they actually. I think it's up to. I hate to say it, but I think Ukraine will be consumed no matter what we do.
Twice is enough for me, man. I don't think we need another world war. And if we fought Russia over Ukraine, it would be a world war.
It would. Oh, absolutely, it would. And that's actually kind of what they're testing. Because the thing is, though, we've actually shown, us as a culture and society don't have near the level of fortitude that the greatest generation, you know, the World War II generation had. We don't have that right now.
Back when the men were men and the women were too.
And
exactly.
We're scared.
but you know what I'm saying, though? It's just like, now we definitely sociologically have been weakened. We don't have the stomach for it.
Right. Daniel says
access,
they also want Ukraine's shipyards. I think that's the main point,
yeah,
right?
That's the ports.
They want access to the fucking Bering Sea. They want fucking actual port that doesn't freeze over periodically in the winter or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's actually thing is kind of a huge deal for them.
Well, it is kind of a big deal if you want to be a world power, and that's kind of the reason why we've been in support of standing in the way of that for so long. It's not so much we're like, hey, we care about Ukraine, it's like, fuck Russia.
Well, Daniel, can I I want to respond to your super chat. I actually agree with you, but the Germans are the U.S. and the U.S. are the Germans. That's what the NATO alliance is ultimately.
All I'm saying is, with the shit show of the last 2 years, I wouldn't be surprised if the spicy Germans and the Russians split the Ukraine. I mean, it would just be icing on the cake, right? I mean, and like, where did it start? Fucking COVID and murder hornets, and then
Harambe.
If that happened, that would mean that NATO is probably going to dissolve.
Well, Germany is NATO, though. That's kind of the weird thing about the NATO-EU alliance. When it says spicy Germans, that is the EU, and which is NATO forces, which is us as well. Currently.
Did you see that ceremony with Angela Merkel with all the fucking Nazis marching around? They're like, oh, we're not Nazis, and these aren't Nazi helmets, and we're just carrying torches because it's tradition.
And then
yeah.
And then have you seen the fucking army in Argentina, man? It's hilarious. They look like stormtroopers from World War II.
I say the most hilarious army, though, is look up the dress uniforms for the Greek army. That's hilarious.
I like our dress uniforms for Space Force. They're looking snazzy.
the tunic.
It looks like some Star Trek bullshit or something.
Yeah, the tunic.
Expanse. It looks like the Expanse, really.
Yeah.
Raw Feeding says, this is a good question. If you had a pew in every category, water and food stores, medicine stores, ammo stores, comfort items, and you had 1,000 to spend, would you increase everything equally or focus on one category?
I would probably keep it as liquid cash.
I mean, I was thinking try to think of another hole. Do you have a generator in that case? If you already have food, medicine, water, ammo, guns, everything, maybe some heating source, maybe some power source, maybe some consumable item that's not food.
I saw a video earlier today that was on a shelter built out in the woods that was a cabin that someone dug into the forest floor and then built out with logs. So it's dug into the earth. You could probably build one of those with a chainsaw and a shovel and 2 guys pretty damn quick. And that would be super insulated.
Bushcrafting, actually, by the way, I can't even recommend enough, but just go into YouTube, type in bushcrafting. There's some really, really good stuff in case you are in the woods and society does fall to crap. Some really good instructables how to do quick temporary shelter and then also quicker long-term shelter. You work your way up. That's some really good stuff.
Okay, so my brother-in-law has, I think it's 6 acres on a hill up in the mountains, basically, that has semi-road access at this point. Not when he bought it, but now. Since he bought it, roads have filled in. Mm-hmm. And we could go there. Not we, you and me, but we as in me.
The royal we.
Yeah.
The royal we.
I got property in the Crystal Mountains I'm taking care of.
Some trees and fucking strip some trees of bark and get them ready to dry out and all that stuff, or whatever it is that you do. And then come back in a couple of months and set up and build a fucking log cabin and put a fucking wood stove in it and put a roof on it and make shingles and, do the whole fucking... I would love to do that, dude. But the problem is, if I do that, then savings goes away. Everything I have fucking rots. The kids don't have a place. Everything. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how to fit that in.
Well, so for me, I've been going up to the weekends to my uncle's property, doing property maintenance. It's all woodland. It's on the mountains in the Crystal Peaks, by the San Juans. Anyway, actually, I took an ammo can out there, and I built a ammo can wood stove. That was actually pretty cool. And initially, I had it in my my large hunting tent, but then,
my idea was to go to the Home Depot or whatever, mm-hmm. and get a cheapish, decent sized, fucking durable looking shed,
Oh yeah, no, that's actually.
And then just drive it up there and install it up there in the woods and put a wood burning stove in it, and then build a bunk bed in it and call it good for now. And that'll be I don't know, a hunting cabin kind of thing or whatever you want to call it, just a fucking bug out spot that you have that's yours, that you've built, that you have access to, and then you could use that as a staging point. Hey, we're going to work on the place over the weekend. We've got a place to sleep. We got a place to cook food. We've got a place to store our tools and keep it out of the rain and not like from being stolen or whatever. So we can come back next weekend and keep working. Like that was my idea.
Oh, and that's homesteading. And yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Ray.
My thought with the dugout thing was like, let's say you couldn't buy land. Like, there's a shitload of like public land, Corps of Engineers land, National Forest land that like you could walk out with a chainsaw and a shovel and build something hidden in the woods in case shit ever went down.
Well, if shit ever went down, there'd be no more property rules as far as public land and things like that. So that's like, in that scenario, absolutely, I completely agree with you.
The dugout thing though, like the one that I was looking at, you could like walk over that thing and you wouldn't know it was fucking there.
Yeah, dugouts are pretty cool. I think they're like underrated, and especially if you know how to like do concrete and stuff like that for mudding.
Yeah, I'm lost on this one. What are you talking about, Josh Taylor? I wouldn't mind decapitalizing a few of these places.
I think he's talking about not making them a capital anymore. Like, because on the map, like in other words, like go after China, make China on its knees.
China.
I miss the way he says China.
I miss the way that he pissed the liberals off, and they'd get so mad and they wouldn't even know why.
Yeah, well, it's just because the TV told him to. For me, I was just mad about the bump stocks. But yeah, if you go a little bit further north,
I think this island is part of Georgia. Look at this line. You were lying.
I'm not lying.
Georgia.
No.
Georgia.
So if you go up to follow the Ural River up to the border of Kazakhstan. Oh.
It's not even Georgia. I was lying. It's Krasnodar. How do you say that?
Krasnodar.
I've never even heard of that.
It's a small country.
Yeah.
Krasnodar.
Yeah. But yeah, so if you go a little bit north, there's Azerbaijan. That's where I had a guy point an AK-47 in my face from a car. That was awesome.
Yeah. You'll have that in Azerbaijan from time to time.
Yeah, that was great.
It doesn't happen in Azerbaijan. It's not a good part of the woods there, Azerbaijan.
No, I was a dumbass, like 20-something-year-old who was taking a train and like, I want to see the world.
Yeah, we all swap stories.
This is where they make excellent handguns.
They do make excellent handguns.
Actually, they're MP5
like really cheap shotguns too.
Yeah, no, in Turkey, everyone likes to dog on Turkey, but they make the best MP5 clone because they have all the old original HK tooling there.
They're saying the new German chancellor is far right. And
well,
much more powerful than before.
Does he have a little mustache?
Dun, 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 dun.
I am the Senate.
So, as far as but can you really blame the European, the Germans or any European country for moving farther right when they've imported? Have you seen the roving rape gangs and things like that? That have been, if you go from I don't know if you've been to Europe from 2008, it's just normal Western Europe country to the most recent time I was there was 2018 when I was in Germany, radically different. If you look at even Nice, France, it's like a tent village of the third world now. It used to be one of the most beautiful locations in the world on the Mediterranean, on the French Riviera, and then now it's.
You know what I see when I look at this underwater structure looking thing here?
Mm-hmm.
Potentially the site of Atlantis. Because if the water was 200 feet lower as it was during the Ice Age, and there wasn't 2 miles of ice covering this area right here, pushing down on that part of the planet, which also pushes up on other parts of the planet, like right here, perhaps raising the altitude of the bottom of the ocean, and then when all that ice melts, it goes back into the ocean, raising the ocean level, while at the same time reversing the hydrostatic depression created by that ice on top of Canada, then lowers this part right here.
Do you think the Egyptians were the survivors of Atlantis?
Perhaps the descendants of survivors who had no memory of it because things were wiped out so bad they couldn't pass on the teachings.
If you look at the story of Atlantis, fucking
Eye of Africa, that's what I think it is.
No,
sorry.
that's what I'm trying to fucking. Was it Plato? Who was it that did the story of Atlantis originally?
Yeah, it was
So he got it from Solon, which was his teacher, and Solon got it while he was on a trip in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like, what, 900 BC or something like that? So this was like back when Egypt was still Egypt. Like, it wasn't pyramid building Egypt anymore, but like they had distant memories. And they were saying that, you know, they were from Atlantis, basically. That's what that story was from.
I actually, yeah, I agree with that. Like, was gonna say that was like, for me, I think that it's possible it's the Canary Islands location. That's where a lot of people have looked, or the Bimini Road over in the Bahamas. Actually, yeah. But I would look at, I don't know, the Eye of Africa theory. To me, if you look up, just Google Eye of Africa on Google Maps, and it actually matches the description of Atlantis, though.
It doesn't match it at all, though.
What do you mean, though?
Like
no, it doesn't, because it's well, first of all,
island past the Pillars of Her.
It is a landmass the size of Eurasia. So they're talking about like this area right here, right? Like the Middle East. The size of the Middle East was the size of this area. Beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which is the Straits of Gibraltar, meaning it's somewhere out in the Atlantic Ocean. And there was like a circular fucking city in the middle and water leading out and all this other stuff, which you couldn't see. But like, what's left over are the what are these islands called? The
Canaries? Is it the Canaries that you're pointing at? Sorry, I can't see.
It's the Azores.
Oh, okay.
Azores. That's what it is. The Azores.
So
those would be like the tops of the hills and what was that landmass, or just.
I have a competing theory for you. Like, you're saying that they said it was a continent the size of Eurasia. Anything in the middle of the Atlantic isn't going to be the size of Eurasia, but North America fucking is.
Right.
Like, what if the Americas is Atlantis, and what if like Machu Picchu and fucking the Teotihuacan and some of these like big stone structures are the leftovers of Atlantis?
That's an awesome theory too. That's more plausible than some fucking like circular depression that looks weird in Africa.
Well, if you think about it, like all of those places.
Sorry to shit on your theory.
No, I actually find that theory, like, I just felt like, because like the Bimini Road thing was the one that I was buying into in the Bahamas. That's one for the longest time. But
all
yeah,
of those megalithic stone structures though in Mexico and Central and South America, the people that were there when the Spanish got there said they didn't build them, that they just moved into them.
Yeah. And
what's crazy is you can kind of see, just like looking at this map, where the coastline was.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
up the Yucatan.
Florida was huge and was connected to Cuba. Goes way up, like Vancouver and fucking, like, all of this doesn't exist anymore, but it was all landmass before. Go to fucking United Kingdom. Like, this was all just extended Europe. It wasn't an island, you know?
What if Machu Picchu and shit like that was like the mountain resorts of some ancient civilization, and now it's the only thing left because everything else is underwater?
I think that's actually plausible. And then this is actually, by the way, I wanted just to like just defend for like the crappy theory everyone hates, but like the reason why I kind of a little bit looking at the Eye of Africa, the reason why is because because there's basically the circular structure of like the rings within rings, right? Of like how it's described at like I guess you say the city of Atlantis, and that we even know in Paleolithic times, though, we knew to know in Paleolithic times, like by finding whale bones in the Sahara, that was all ocean for the most part. That's where that the Sahara was Paleolithic. So during the Ice Age.
So Honda, can you pull up?
Are you sure about that? I have not seen that evidence.
Well, pre-Paleolithic. Let's see here.
Pre-Paleolithic would mean well before the Ice Age, right?
It's like in between the two, like from the K2 event to, I guess you would say, the rise of mammals.
I guess I don't know. I don't know enough to argue that point, but I always assumed that the fossilized ocean life that was found in this part of Africa was from millions of years ago.
So my thing with this is the only thing you have to go on is that it's circular, right? It's built in rings. Mm-hmm. The city of the gods in Teotihuacan in Mexico is built in circles and uses fucking canals and shit. Like
That's actually really interesting. Yeah.
pull up a picture of that, and like if you want a case for what could have been Atlantis, I think it's this because it matches the description, like you said, because it's supposed to be circular and it's supposed to have canals.
That's exactly. And like that's the only reason why I was giving any credence to the Eye of Africa theory, because I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm not saying I'm married to it, by the way. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like, like the evidence presented of like whale bones, like I was like, oh, well, that's really fascinating. Yeah. So
sorry, I'm trying to find what Plato's actual words were.
okay. I love this heated debate over what we think Atlantis is. This is great.
Oh, like
Son
honestly,
of a bitch. I'm going to find him before you.
This is something I'm actually passionate about. Like, I think Atlantis probably was a real thing somewhere. Like, it's debatable as to what it was and where it was and shit. But like,
yeah,
I think honestly, past the Pillars of Heracles is like a lot of fucking places.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, so it's like it's such a like. It's like saying like if I said rabbit ears pass or something, it only means somebody that knows what that is.
So Plato says Atlantis was a city built on the desires of the gods Poseidon and his son Atlantis. It sat on an island in the Atlantic that was made of concentric circles. The city grew to be a powerful empire, but was destroyed by earthquakes or floods. That's not what he said. Where's his fucking quote? Well, this is going over all the arguments, and I don't want to read the whole fucking thing. I just want to find his quote. Sorry,
I can't find a single picture of Teotihuacan from above.
That's weird. Like, wait, there's not even a satellite. You can't even like satellite image of it.
Maybe we could do that, like Google. Or I'm Google image search right now. I think that was the one. I may have gotten this name of the city wrong.
But Ray, I do want to like say there is a lot of credence to the North American theory, though. I actually do agree with that, especially like if you look how far there, like if it was an empire, like it's suggested, right?
Yeah.
Like if even all the way up to here in Colorado, into Oklahoma, into Arizona, there's those cliff-dwelling cities and villages, right? Like there's Mesa Verde, things like that.
Have you heard about the shit that's in the Grand Canyon that they don't talk about?
Wait, by Havasu Falls?
There's like a secret fucking cave that the Smithsonian sent an expedition and found in like 1900-ish. Mm-hmm. And like it really happened. They really found something. And if you try to go there now, bad shit happens to you.
Is that like kind of like
the government swoops in and keeps you from going there?
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not on the reservation land part of the Grand Canyon where Havasu Falls is.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly where this is on the canyon. It's very difficult to get to, for one thing. It's like you have to basically rappel down a fucking rock face to get there, or you can like take a.
Are you talking where they discovered Egyptian treasure inside of the Grand Canyon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird shit, man. Like, and that's the connection too with the Egyptian shit. Why would there be Egyptian shit in a cave in the Grand Canyon?
Well, here's the weird thing, and I remember learning about this when I was a kid about the mummies in Egypt and shit. Is that the embalming process was a closely held secret by the priest class of the Egyptian society, right? And they would pass it on from generation to generation. And they would gather spices and things from all over their entire empire to bring to the capital or wherever it was to like mummify the king, right? And when they were doing testing on like skin or whatever it was, like parts of the body and like the wrappings on the mummies, what they found was that the nicotine content was higher than if they were a smoker. Right, but the thing was, tobacco didn't exist in Europe or Africa at that time. The only place it existed was in America, was in the Americas, and the only way that they could have gotten tobacco was, at very least, if they had some sort of trading program with the contemporary Americans of that time, or if they had a separate but connected kingdom in the Americas,
like a satellite, yeah.
have you heard what the native peoples of the Southwest region say about that mystery cave I was talking about in the Grand Canyon?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. Sorry.
So basically, all of their origin stories as a people say that they went into the ground to hide from some bad thing, came out of the ground and started over, basically. And this was all done by the Star Children or whatever that fucking saved them.
Mhm.
Like, who knows how much of this is like total bullshit, how much of this is like,
I've heard
through the years. But like, is that cave a hiding place for some lost part of some civilization?
Okay, yeah, okay, I have heard this story. Okay, it's just kind of ringing a bell, but like, it kind of parlays into one of the most interesting, depending how you feel about him, if you think he's legit or a fraud, but Philip Schneider's Dulce, the famous Dulce Wars, the underground base wars where they encountered aliens underground in a secret under base in New Mexico.
I don't know about that.
Phil Schneider, he's kind of like, it was around the same time Bob Lazar came forward. Some people say he's a crackpot, but then he was suicided, and there's a lot of weird stuff that happened around his death.
It is weird how many nukes we tested underground in our own country.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Yeah, but I know the Hopi talked about the Anasazi, who are well, now they call them the ancestral Puebloans, but the Anasazi means ancient ones in Hopi.
Yeah,
and the ancient ones who built Mesa Verde and all the cliff villages through the Grand Canyon and things like that, they attribute them as they were like the sons and daughters of the Star Children.
Yeah.
So that's. Yeah, and then like if you look at kind of the lore around there and all the weird stuff that happens of lights in the sky that match up with the pictographs, there's actually a picture of me. Well, I'm not going to share it, but like on this, obviously, because I don't want to
I'm saying like forget the Star Children thing for half a minute and go back to there's a cave that they definitely found that we don't know exactly what they found in it that matches the description of these people's origin that they hid in a fucking cave, like. I don't know. I think it would at least be worth checking out. Like,
I'm
down.
not
saying they're descended from the Star Children necessarily, but what I am saying is if there was an Atlantis and those were the survivors of it, it would be cool.
No, absolutely. I think the idea of like we know so actually little about I would say I mean, during the Ice Age, we were actually, everyone just thinks we're just all these hunter-gatherers hiding in caves and stuff, but I have a feeling that civilization, and which actually even recently, scientists pushed back the evolutionary date of humanity by another few million years. So,
we have no idea what took place on this Earth from 200,000 years ago until about, Roman times, maybe?
Yeah. Perhaps even longer. I mean, there's human remains that they've found that are like almost 500,000 years old. They're like 400 and something thousand years old. So it stands to reason that that's at least how old humans are, possibly way older than that, even double. Meaning
not to mention
up to 1 million years even, like who knows how long human beings, Homo sapiens, have been on this planet.
Not to mention that there are non-Homo sapien species that would be fully capable of being at our technological level even. Like, they were smart enough. They were just as smart as we were. So
Josh Taylor says, what I mean by these places is Russia, China, and the entire Middle East, the usual places where causing us problems with us.
I'm with you, bro.
I kind of let that go for a while, and now we're way on different subjects.
Yeah. Let's keep talking about Atlantis.
Yeah. But
Daniel says Night Strike is the star child.
He's a father of us all. No, he traveled back in time and started humanity. That's what happened. He develops a time machine in 2 years' time to escape the bullshit that's going on now.
My question is, what if the Star Children were actually just Atlanteans or whatever?
That's exactly, yeah. So I personally think, though, with advanced technology, approaching, I guess you say, a hunter-gatherer society, they would seem oh, wow, these guys, it'd be almost like, oh, they got magic when it's just, technology, right? And I'm not saying it's alien. I'm saying it's just because stars are always indicative of not just from space or whatever, right? But more of enlightenment, right? So that's something that I think, and especially with the words that they use and how it's used, with the Hopi specifically, and they call them the Anasazi, which means the ancient ones. So for them, Yeah.
Have you ever looked into the Skinwalker Ranch stuff at all?
Oh my God, yes. I've actually been to that mesa.
So,
Yes.
like, man, like I used to not.
We did a whole chat on that shit.
I used to not believe in supernatural shit at all.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Skinwalker Ranch stuff that I can't fucking explain.
So I actually went to that mesa in 2003 in college. We drove out there. This is like, you know, obviously before the show started, long before the show started, but it was kind of part of the UFO lore and stuff like that I was involved in. So we drove out there to check it out, and we went to the mesa. We got chased off by some guards, but we decided to camp on the north side of the mesa. So you had the mesa that overlooks the ranch, but the mesa is pretty big, so you can actually hike up. At that time, you could hike up on the north side, and it was a really tough hike and stuff like that. But yeah, we got chased off by armed guards there. That was actually.
I would love to go fucking camp there, but like if you did it, the only way to do it would be to get fucking high as balls and to have a bonfire and have like guns and shit and just.
Yeah,
didn't we buy up land around that area so you can't even get to the part where you're talking about now, though?
Yeah, they did. But like in 2003 when I did it, like that was still public land. That mesa was still considered public land. But yeah, we got chased.
I don't understand. Like, if nothing's going on,
mm-hmm.
why is so much security and secrecy and fucking money?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much money did Bigelow get to research what's going on?
It's like 20 million.
My theory on Skinwalker Ranch is basically that whatever the fuck is camped out there, some interdimensional being, alien, whatever, something with a level of technology that we don't even fucking comprehend has decided to camp out at Skinwalker Ranch and occasionally kill and eat cows.
Well, the thing is, the other thing though is like the little orbs. That's the part from like the Sherman Ranch, because when the Shermers were there, it's called Sherman Ranch. And they talked about the orbs and what they were doing, and like that's the part that intrigues me the most, because that seems like, because it wasn't just like little balls of light. They said they had structure to them because it got so close to these orbs that are size of like a double the size of a softball, like a bowling ball.
The part that I liked was the giant white wolf that couldn't be killed. You heard about that?
Yeah, that was like when they first got there, and then he shot it with a 357 3 times. Nothing happened until he got his 30-06 or whatever.
My thing is, if you had a level of technology that could make yourself appear as a white wolf when you're actually some sort of fucking whatever the fuck it is, like
mm-hmm.
you're entering people's minds and changing what they fucking see and remember.
Right.
Because that's not a giant white wolf that he was shooting at. I guarantee you.
Yeah. And the thing is, especially like how it reacted, like, but yet it still had some wolf-like tendencies. It acted like a domestic animal at first, according to the story, because the family was like kind of petting it, like kind of weird. They're like, well, it looks like friendly, maybe someone's pet. And, like that was in the book, and also the documentary and all these other things. And it's
what if it is a fucking shapeshifter, spirit world animal thing or whatever, and like you could interact with it? What if you could communicate with that thing?
What if it's like a demon? Like think about this, like fucking what was that movie where the Azazel could like transfer from one person to another with a touch and then make him do a bunch of things and then transfer to someone else?
That was like with Denzel Washington. What was
Denzel
that?
Washington.
All I know is that if I went to fucking
that's such a good movie too, by the
way.
If
I went to find the white wolf, I'd have fucking holy water and a crucifix and shit.
Well, I mean, the thing is, so they talked about like it with the Skinwalker Ranch with the Shermer family. You know, they were from New Mexico. They moved there. They bought like some land to grow their, you know, to have like better. They just want to change the pace, I guess, to grow their, you know, develop their cattle or whatever for the breeding program. But anyway, yeah, just like the weird stuff, the control over animals, the stuff that they report, and they don't seem like. I've seen interviews with like, I guess you call it the patriarch, the dad. Like Marvin Sherman or whatever his name was, Sherman. I don't remember his name, but like anyway, yeah, he was talking about like just he doesn't seem like a guy that would bullshit. Like he doesn't. He's just like he wanted answers, and that's actually why he came forward, like and reached out to the press and things like that. And that's when Bigelow said, "Well, I'll buy the ranch from you," and then he's like, "Well, I kind of want to figure this thing out to the end, so I'll maintain the cattle on the land," but. Yeah, I mean, considering the family was all sleeping in the living room because they were being harassed by lights at night going around the homestead and stuff like that.
Calhoun Republic says Atlantis was in Antarctica. They made a TV show about it. It was called Stargate.
First off, the Nazis escaped to Antarctica.
I wonder if,
I
like,
fully believe something was in Antarctica.
If they melted all the ice on Antarctica and like the fucking mountains below came up, like you could see what was there or whatever, do you think they'd find something?
I think they have found something and they're covering it up.
I think another country during World War II found something and they were able to make an underground base there.
I would kind of believe that too, especially with the whole what was that operation in 1946 where Admiral Byrd went down there with like a whole fleet and like Army Expeditionary Force. I forget the name of that.
I know what you're talking about though exactly. It's like, but they were saying they were on training maneuvers.
Yeah, but they like gunfights.
Yeah, and then there was
like gotten the gunfights in Antarctica, like from what the rumors of the soldiers anyway were saying.
Yeah, and then the U.S. government eventually said no, it was whalers that thought who were poaching or something like that, which didn't exist at the time. Then there was like a Swedish fishing vessel that encountered a bunch of Germans in a U-boat in.
There it is. There's the UFO in Antarctica that crashed.
I knew it.
History Channel for the win.
God damn it, History Channel! You have access to everything. They're telling us the truth and no one's believing them because it's coming from a guy with crazy hair.
Atlantis was a worldwide civilization, including in Antarctica, and there is shit to be found there, guys.
I do believe in the global empire thing. If you had one civilization that completely, had advanced technology, because humans had the same. Let me put it this way: humans, if they were Homo sapiens like us, if not better, over time they could develop technology, right, with the right resources and things like that. But then some huge cataclysmic event, like I don't know, something instantaneously melts, like at that time would be, say it was during the ice
sheet.
Yeah, so it's what's that?
Comet hits the ice sheet and melts it, changes the world overnight.
Yeah, so something cataclysmic like that, and then we all have to go back to like what we're doing now, like what we're about to be doing now is all go back to be barbarians and hunter-gatherers. Spread across the globe.
You see the fucking evidence both in the like biodiversity and in like the evidence of giant water flows that happened at the time. I mean, and then you have all of these mythical stories of earth-wide floods and things. Like, what do you think the fucking ancient people thought when everything they know just went up in the biggest flood ever? It's like the whole world flooded.
Look at where they have elephants still. Like, there were elephants all over North America and Russia and shit. Just boom, gone. And like, we didn't hunt those to extinction. There were herds of millions of them.
But that was always the fucking assumption. I remember learning that in school about how the great white hunter
an impact centered over like the North Pole Canada region would have left Southeast Asia and Africa relatively unaffected for the elephants.
Well, Africa only lost like 10% of its biodiversity.
Yeah.
Europe lost like 30 or 40%. North America lost like 75%.
Yeah.
I mean, we had like at that time super sloths. We're talking sloths that were the size of like, a van.
There was a significant amount of biodiversity lost, including megafauna.
Yeah. And now what they're like, what they're finding in Siberia when they're fracking for oil, they're finding, frozen, little, frozen.
Well, here's the thing though, dude. Like, I worked for a company that was in charge of digging a reservoir, right? And we had to go 60 feet deep into the earth to dig this reservoir, and then like lay down a couple feet of clay and then some riprap and all this other shit to finish it off, and boom, you got a reservoir. So we're digging down, and I'm digging this one part where this specific thing has to go, and it has to go to a specific depth. And the guy's reaching down with the fucking backhoe and digging a little bit deeper and deeper. And I got to jump in the hole and fucking like check the fucking elevation to see if we're there yet or whatever, 2 more feet. And I look down and there's this like weird rock. And I'm like, hold on. And I jump down in the hole and I grab this rock. And I shit you not, it's a skull. It is a skull of an animal that looks like the Predator. Like, it had dreadlock bones coming off of its skull. What? Dreadlocks that were bones. But it was like a human face structure, and there was nothing else with it. Just the head.
Whoa. Okay. That's pretty...
And the thing is, on a site like that, if you find something like that, and you give it to the people who would do the research about the thing about that, do you know what it does to your job site?
Shuts it down.
Foremans don't like that very much. Foreman got a hold of it, never saw it again.
Oh, jeez. Dude, that's crazy, because it could have been like some like Anasazi skull, like where they put stuffed bones in their skull or did some body mod or something even crazier and wilder, right?
60 feet down, dude. That thing was ancient.
Whoa, dude, that is crazy. That's a huge find. Dude,
right, well, it's been almost 4 hours, and I am getting tired.
I just been really enjoying this conversation with you, Bo.
No, me too, man. I'm not saying I want it to end. I'm saying it has to.
We should do another chat just about Atlantis and fucking Skinwalker Ranch. Apparently,
we need to.
Are you guys gonna go squatching with me before we end this chat? Would you ever be willing?
No.
You want to play squash? Is that what you're saying?
No. Go squatching. Go out looking.
Oh,
for squash.
squatching.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying like you want to drive down the road and throw watermelons out of the car.
Oh no. By the way, we're from Colorado. We do that with burritos, man. Green chili burritos.
I don't know, man. I'd like to find a squatch, but I don't know if I'm going to be the one to do it.
All right.
Would you want to just see one, or would you want to like get proof as like a picture, or would you want proof like a head?
I would want to just see one and know that I saw him and know that he saw me and know what it was, and then not tell anybody about it because you're going to be called crazy. Because if you come back with evidence and you're going to be scrutinized and bullshit and yada yada, and you kill it, then all the Yankee Marshals of the world are going to come after you. It's better to just see it. And
I want his head.
I'm to answer your question, I think that if you explain it to the Yankee Marshals of the world as like you need to have proof, which is a body. You need to have physical proof, right? That's, if you explain it to them that way, so that way you could preserve it. If there's proof of something, then you can preserve something.
I'm just saying, like, if we're going to have to kill one to prove it, then I'm going to mount it on my wall.
There you go. Yeah. I just want the credit for it. But I think, though, based off of the other encounters that people I've talked to that have had encounters, it's pretty terrifying. So I don't know.
As long as it's not a fucking skull with dreadlocks in it.
Dude, I want to talk to you more about that sometime.
It was probably, I don't know, like 2/3 the size of a human head as far as like the skull size.
Okay.
The back of the skull was solid bone, but then it had these bones growing out of it, and there was probably about
in your pocket
15 or 20 of them.
Okay.
And they looked like dreadlocks. It looked like the fucking Predator without the fucking jawbone on the bottom and without any teeth in it.
So I wonder if it's a dinosaur.
It could have been. It very well could have. That, like, it sounds like a dinosaur type thing, like, I don't know what it was, dude. But it looked like a human, like, humanoid type skull, though. The way the fucking bone structure was and shit.
There are types of like triceratop looking things that don't have the horns that they kind of have a human looking face, and they kind of have some shit that could look like dreadlocks, maybe.
I don't have evidence because, again, the fucking foreman got a hold of it and no one ever saw it again. But I remember it. I held it in my hand.
It'd be cool if it was some fucking crazy alien thing that used to live on the planet before our species even evolved.
That's what my buddy was thinking when he saw it. It was like, it looks like an alien. And I was like, dude, it looks like fucking, it looks like alien. It looks like alien. Anyway, on that note, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. We'll be back for a Gay Frog chat about Rupert Murdoch, if you know who that is. We'll be learning about it together because I don't know as much as I would like to, and we'll do a little research beforehand and share it with you guys online.
All I know is that he tried to kill Randy Quaid, and that man's a hero.
All right, guys. Until then, we'll see you. Have a good night. Peace out. Hope it was
night.
good.